with his rivals, wearing a token of his lady love. But knights were far more than romantic figures. They were a triumph of military technology. The resources needed for horses, armor, and weaponry meant that knighthood was generally a job for the rich. Most knights came from noble families, and success in battle might lead to a royal grant of additional land and titles. Many held important religious positions as well as military ones. Some were writers of history and poetry, helping to craft the image of the knight that we still know today.
Our first night takes us to the year 1066 and the Norman conquest of England. William the Conqueror seized the English throne in 1066. I trained as a knight, then became a priest and scholar. I served as William's chaplain during the conquest. I witnessed the Battle of Hastings and the subjugation of England. Later, I wrote a biography of William, chronicling the conquest.
Our next night takes us to the sun-drenched battlefields of Spain, where the Reconquista raged. Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar, known as El Cid, embodied the martial prowess of the age. Born around 1043, he rose as a military leader. After falling out of favor, he became a mercenary captain, fighting for whoever paid the most, leading Christian and Muslim troops. His exploits were immortalized in the epic poem Cantar de Mio Cid. His life offers a glimpse into the Reconquista, driven by ambition and military glory.
Our journey takes us to the Holy Land, where the fate of Christendom hung in the balance. The First Crusade saw Jerusalem captured by Christian forces. I, Hugues de Payens, a French knight, stepped forward. In 1118, I and 8 knights approached the King of Jerusalem with a proposal. We pledged to live as warrior monks, safeguarding pilgrims. Within Solomon's temple, the Knights Templar were born. Initially small, the Templars rose to power. As their leader, I instilled discipline and loyalty.
Chapter 4. Guy of Lusignan, the king who lost Jerusalem. For our next night, we remain in the Holy Land, but this time we delve into a tale of defeat and disaster. Guy of Lusignan, a French nobleman who ascended to the throne of Jerusalem, would forever be remembered for presiding over one of the most catastrophic defeats in Crusader history. Guy's path to power was paved with ambition and a healthy dose of good fortune. However, his reign was beset by internal divisions and the ever-present threat of Saladin, the powerful Muslim leader determined to drive the Crusaders out of the Holy Land. In the summer of 1187, Saladin launched his offensive, catching the Crusader forces off guard, leading to the Battle of Hattin, a crushing defeat for the Crusaders. Chapter 5. William Marshal, England's greatest knight. From the scorching sands of the Holy Land we return to England, where a knight renowned for his chivalry, military skill, and unwavering loyalty left an indelible mark on history. William Marshal, the fourth son of a minor noble, seemed destined for obscurity. Yet, he would rise to become one of the most admired knights in English history, a man who served 5 kings and earned the respect of friend and foe alike. William's early years were spent honing his skills in the tourney field. He excelled in this violent arena, earning both wealth and renown. He served Henry II, Richard the Lionheart, John, and Henry III, acting as a royal advisor, military commander, and even a regent during Henry III's minority. Chapter 6. Geoffroy de Charny, the knight who wrote the book. Geoffroy de Charny, a French knight, served King John II. Known for his writings on chivalry and warfare, 100 Years' War, Charny penned the Book of Chivalry and other works. His writings explore the ideals and realities of knightly conduct.
Chapter 7. Edward the Black Prince, Terror of France. Our penultimate night takes us back to the 100 Years' War, a conflict that ravaged France for over a century. And amidst the carnage and chaos, one name struck fear into the hearts of Frenchmen: Edward of Woodstock, better known as the Black Prince. The eldest son of Edward III of England, the Black Prince was a warrior born and bred. He first tasted battle at the age of 16, participating in his father's campaigns in France. His most famous victory came at the Battle of Poitiers in 1356, where he outmaneuvered and decisively defeated the French, capturing their king, John II. The Black Prince, despite his successes, was not without his critics, with his sack of Limoges in 1370 remaining a dark stain on his legacy.
Chapter 8. Joan of Arc, the Maid of Orleans. Our final knight is a woman who defied convention and altered the course of history. Joan of Arc, a peasant girl from Domremy, France, remains one of the most enigmatic and inspiring figures of the Middle Ages. Born into a time of war and turmoil, Joan experienced visions and heard voices which she attributed to Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. Driven by faith and a fervent patriotism, Joan sought out the Dauphin, the uncrowned King Charles VII, and convinced him of her divine mission. Clad in white armor and carrying a banner emblazoned with the fleur-de-lis, Joan of Arc rallied the French troops, leading them to a string of improbable victories, with the Siege of Orleans cementing her status as a national heroine.
The enduring legacy of knights. From the Norman conquest to the 100 Years' War, the knights we've explored left an indelible mark on history. They were warriors, leaders, writers, and even in the case of Joan of Arc, divinely inspired heroes. Their stories, filled with triumph and tragedy, offer a glimpse into a world vastly different from our own. But the legacy of knighthood extends far beyond the battlefields of the Middle Ages. The ideals of chivalry, of courage, honor, and loyalty continue to resonate today, reminding us of the enduring power of human ambition, courage, and the allure of legend. We think we know knights, shining armor, charging into battle, maybe rescuing a damsel along the way, but what happens when those knights are more than just warriors? That's the story of the Knights Templar, a group so powerful, so influential, and ultimately so feared, that their story echoes through history right into the present day. Formed in the early 12th century, during the bloody chaos of the First Crusade, the Knights Templar were unlike any military order the world had ever seen. Here are the most astonishing facts about Christianity's holy warriors, the Knights Templar. Imagine the medieval world, a time of brutal violence where power comes from the edge of a sword. Knights, often little more than glorified thugs, roamed the landscape, their loyalty bought and paid for. Then, into this world, stepped the Templars. These men were different. They were warriors, yes, but they were bound by vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. This wasn't just about land or loot, it was about serving God with every fiber of their being. They became the most elite fighting force in Christendom, feared by their enemies and revered by their allies. You can't be one of history's most effective fighting forces without incredible discipline, and for the Templars, that discipline was forged in their faith. These warrior monks lived by a strict code, dictating every aspect of their lives, from the food they ate to the clothes they wore. Simple meals, often in silence, focused on prayer and reflection. Their wardrobe was austere, a white tunic with a red cross symbolizing their willingness to shed blood for their faith. This strict lifestyle set them apart from their contemporaries. They were the Spartan monks of their age, feared for their discipline and fighting prowess. Imagine being on a battlefield in the scorching heat of the Holy Land. The enemy is bearing down on you, a tidal wave of steel and fury. Most would break and run, but not the Templars. Retreat was forbidden, surrender unthinkable. Their code demanded unwavering courage, an absolute commitment to the fight, no matter the odds. Time and time again they faced down overwhelming numbers, fighting with a ferocity that bordered on the fanatical. Stories of their bravery, both real and embellished, spread like wildfire through Christendom. They were the embodiment of unwavering faith, the unrelenting force of God's will on the battlefield. The Templars weren't just mindless fanatics throwing themselves into the fray. Behind the disciplined exterior, behind the unwavering faith, were shrewd minds, strategists who understood the art of war as well as any general. They knew when to strike and when to hold back, when to negotiate and when to unleash the full fury of their military might. This strategic acumen, combined with their unwavering faith and discipline, made them invaluable allies to the Crusader kings and princes. They were the thinking man's warrior, a potent blend of faith, discipline, and strategic brilliance. Remember those vows of poverty the Templars took? Well, it turns out that being incredibly disciplined, fiercely loyal, and strategically brilliant is a great way to amass a fortune. The Templars, despite their vows, became incredibly wealthy. Donations poured in from grateful pilgrims and nobles impressed by their piety and military prowess. They were granted vast estates across Europe and the Holy Land, their coffers swelling with the profits from agriculture, trade, and taxes. The Templars, once a small band of impoverished knights, had become a financial powerhouse, their reach extending from the battlefields of the Levant to the royal courts of Europe. Imagine you're a pilgrim heading to the Holy Land. It's a dangerous journey, and carrying large sums of money is risky. Enter the Templars with their revolutionary letter of credit system, deposit money in Europe, receive a coded document, present it in the Holy Land to access your funds. This system was the bedrock of international finance. The Templars became the world's first multinational bankers. What if the Templars, while battling in the Holy Land, learned more than just how to fight their enemies? What if they absorbed knowledge, ideas, philosophies from the very cultures they clashed with? The Templars, through their interactions with Islamic scholars and institutions, were exposed to advancements in mathematics, astronomy, and architecture. Some historians believe that the Templars, impressed by these advancements, brought these ideas back to Europe, influencing the development of Western legal systems, universities, and even contributing to the burgeoning Renaissance. They were a bridge between East and West, a conduit for ideas that would shape the course of Western civilization. By the early 14th century, the Templars, once the darlings of Christendom, had become a target. Their power, their wealth, their very existence rankled those who envied their influence, none more so than King Philip IV of France. In a shocking move, on Friday, October 13, 1307, Philip ordered the arrest of every Templar in France. The knights, taken completely by surprise, were imprisoned and subjected to horrific torture, forced to confess to crimes they did not commit. With confessions extracted through torture, the Templar trials began. The charges were absurd, ranging from spitting on the cross to obscene rituals. Fueled by Philip's ambition, the trials became a spectacle. Under duress, some Templars confessed, their words twisted by tormentors. Others, clinging to their faith, refused to break, enduring suffering. In 1312, under pressure from Philip, Pope Clement disbanded the order. The once mighty Knights Templar were no more, their legacy tarnished. The Templars may be gone, but their story, shrouded in mystery and intrigue, continues to fascinate. Their symbol, the iconic red cross on a white background, remains a potent image, emblazoned on everything from books and movies to tattoos and t-shirts. Their story, a tale of faith, courage, betrayal, and mystery, has inspired countless books, movies, and conspiracy theories. Whether you believe the myths or stick to the historical facts, one thing is certain. The Knights Templar, the warrior monks who defied categorization, continue to capture our imaginations centuries after their demise. From their humble beginnings as protectors of pilgrims to their rise as a financial and military powerhouse, the Knights Templar left an indelible mark on history. Their story is a complex tapestry of faith, violence, ambition, and betrayal, a stark reminder of the enduring power of belief and the ever-present potential for corruption. The mystique of the Knights Templar continues to captivate us, proving that their legacy is as enduring as it is fascinating. Whether we admire their piety, marvel at their military prowess, or ponder the mysteries surrounding their downfall, the Knights Templar continue to challenge our understanding of history and the forces that shape our world. The year is 636 CE, a time of great upheaval and transformation. Two massive armies face each other on the dusty plains of Yarmouk, near present-day Syria. The air is thick with tension, as both sides prepare for a confrontation that will shape the future of the region. One army, the Byzantine Empires, represents the might of the old Roman world. Their soldiers, clad in heavy armor, stand in disciplined formations, a testament to centuries of military tradition. Leading them is Vahan, a seasoned general confident in his troops. His experience and strategic acumen have been honed over many campaigns, making him a formidable opponent. The other, smaller army fights for a new power, the Rashidun Caliphate. Despite their smaller numbers, their resolve is unshakable, driven by a fervent belief in their cause. Their general, Khalid ibn al-Walid, is known for his tactical brilliance and is called the Sword of Allah. His reputation precedes him, and his leadership inspires his men to fight with unparalleled courage. The stage is set for one of history's most consequential battles. The fate of empires hangs in the balance, and the outcome will reverberate through the ages. The Battle of Yarmouk wasn't just about land or resources. It was a struggle for ideological supremacy, a test of wills between two vastly different civilizations. It was a clash of civilizations, a struggle for dominance between two different worlds. The Byzantines, with their long history and established faith, were a formidable force. The Byzantines, with their long history and established faith, were a formidable force. Their soldiers fought not just for their empire, but for their way of life and their religion. The Muslims, inspired by their new religion and led by a charismatic general, were determined to prove their strength. Their faith gave them a sense of purpose and unity that was hard to break. The outcome of this battle would decide the fate of the Levant and echo through history for centuries to come. The reverberations of this clash would be felt far beyond the battlefield, influencing the course of history in profound ways. To understand the Battle of Yarmouk, we must go back a few years to a time when the Arabian Peninsula was a land of fragmented tribes and constant conflict. The Arabian Peninsula, once a place of warring tribes, had been unified under the banner of Islam, transforming the region's social and political landscape. The Prophet Muhammad's message had resonated deeply with the people, fostering a new sense of unity and purpose that transcended tribal divisions. This newfound strength and unity led to the rapid expansion of the Rashidun Caliphate, the first Islamic empire, which began to extend its influence far beyond the Arabian Peninsula. The Byzantine Empire, already weakened by internal strife and years of exhausting war with the Sasanian Empire, found itself facing a new and unexpected threat from the south. The Muslims, fueled by their faith and a fervent desire to spread Islam, proved to be a formidable and determined foe on the battlefield. They achieved quick and decisive victories in the Levant, conquering Damascus and other key cities with remarkable speed and efficiency. These early successes set the stage for the monumental confrontation at Yarmouk, a battle that would ultimately decide the fate of the region and shape the course of history. The Byzantine army, larger and more diverse, boasted a mix of infantry, cavalry and auxiliary troops. This formidable force was a testament to the empire's vast resources and its ability to muster soldiers from various regions under its control. Their numbers are estimated to have been between 80,000 to 120,000 men, a staggering figure that showcased the might of the Byzantine military machine. They were well equipped with weapons and armor honed over centuries of Roman military tradition. The craftsmanship of their gear was unparalleled, reflecting the advanced metallurgical skills and military knowledge passed down through generations. Their strength lay in their experience and the discipline instilled by their long military history. Each soldier was trained rigorously, ensuring that the army operated as a cohesive and efficient unit on the battlefield. The Muslim army, though smaller with an estimated 20,000 to 40,000 men, was united by a common faith and a fierce determination. Their unity and shared purpose gave them a psychological edge, making them a formidable opponent despite their smaller size. They were highly mobile, accustomed to the harsh desert conditions and cavalry tactics. Their ability to maneuver quickly and strike with precision was a key advantage in the open and rugged terrain they often fought in. What they lacked in numbers and equipment, they made up for in spirit and leadership. Their resilience and adaptability in the face of adversity were crucial to their success in numerous battles. Khalid ibn al-Walid, known for his strategic brilliance, instilled in his troops a belief in their cause and their ability to overcome a numerically superior foe. His leadership was a beacon of hope and a source of unwavering confidence for his soldiers, driving them to achieve remarkable feats on the battlefield. The Battle of Yarmouk raged for 6 long days and nights. The first day saw fierce skirmishes, with both sides testing each other's strength. The Byzantines, relying on their superior numbers, tried to overwhelm the Muslim flanks. However, Khalid's strategic use of cavalry blunted their advances. As the battle progressed, Khalid's strategic genius became more apparent. He exploited the terrain, using the natural barriers to his advantage. His cavalry, swift and deadly, harassed the Byzantine flanks, while his infantry held firm against repeated assaults. A turning point came when a sandstorm blowing in from the east blinded the Byzantine army, throwing their ranks into disarray. The Muslims, accustomed to the desert conditions, used the storm to their advantage, launching a devastating counterattack. The final day of the battle saw the complete collapse of the Byzantine army. Outmaneuvered, demoralized, and weakened by days of fighting, they broke ranks and fled. The rout was complete and the Muslim victory decisive. The Battle of Yarmouk ended with a resounding victory for the Rashidun Caliphate, marking the beginning of the decline of Byzantine rule in the Levant. The immediate aftermath of the battle saw the Muslims firmly establish their control over Syria and Palestine. The Byzantines, having suffered a catastrophic defeat, were unable to mount any serious challenge to the relentless Muslim advance. The victory at Yarmouk opened the way for further Islamic conquests, paving the path for the spread of Islam westward into North Africa and eventually Europe. Much of the credit for the Muslim victory at Yarmouk goes to the military genius of Khalid ibn al-Walid. Known as the Sword of Allah, he was a brilliant strategist and a charismatic leader who inspired his troops to fight with unwavering zeal. At Yarmouk, he demonstrated his tactical acumen, outmaneuvering a larger and better equipped army. Khalid understood the strengths and weaknesses of both armies. He used the mobility of his cavalry to counter the Byzantine numerical superiority. His strategic use of reserves and his ability to adapt to changing circumstances on the battlefield proved crucial in securing the Muslim victory. His leadership at Yarmouk cemented his place as one of history's greatest military commanders. The Battle of Yarmouk was a watershed moment in history. It marked the end of Byzantine dominance in the Levant and paved the way for the rise of the Muslim world as a major power. It was a clash of civilizations, a meeting point of two different worlds, and its outcome had profound and long-lasting consequences. The battle's impact extended far beyond the battlefield. It facilitated the spread of Islam, a new religion that challenged the existing world order. It led to the flourishing of Arab culture and learning, laying the foundation for the Islamic Golden Age. The echoes of Yarmouk can still be felt today, shaping the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East and beyond. The Battle of Yarmouk is more than just a historical event. It is a testament to the power of faith, strategy, and leadership. It reminds us how a determined force, led by a skilled commander, can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. The legacy of Khalid ibn al-Walid, the Sword of Allah, continues to inspire military strategists and leaders even today. As we reflect on the Battle of Yarmouk, we are reminded of the complexities of history and the enduring impact of human conflict. It is a story of courage, faith, and the clash of civilizations, a story that continues to resonate centuries later. Many ages ago, when the ancient gods ruled the world, there was a mighty Sumerian king named Gilgamesh. While ruler of the great city of Uruk, Mesopotamia, Gilgamesh built magnificent ziggurat temples, surrounded his city with high walls, and planted many orchards of rare fruits. But Gilgamesh was no ordinary man. He was a demigod, son of the priest-king Lugalbanda and the goddess Ninsun. Gilgamesh was an exemplary creature, taller than all other people, with magnificent beauty and uncommon physical strength. Even though he was a demigod and had a longer than normal lifespan, Gilgamesh was not immortal. Despite his physical qualities, Gilgamesh had an arrogant personality and acted as a proud and haughty tyrant. With no one to stop and challenge him, he abused his authority as king, demanding to be idolized by the people and ordering the construction of monuments in his honor. He seduced any woman who attracted him, even if she was of the nobility or married. The population of the city of Uruk gradually began to despise the king. In their prayers to the gods, they begged to be saved from Gilgamesh's cruelty and lewdness. The powerful celestial god Anu felt pity for the humans and ordered Aruru, the goddess of vegetation, to engineer a creature to rival Gilgamesh. Using a portion of clay, the goddess Aruru fashioned a hybrid being, a mixture of man and animal named Enkidu. With a hairy, primitive appearance and bull's horns on his head, Enkidu lived like an animal in the woods and plains of Sumer. He ate grass next to the gazelle and drank water from rivers side by side with lions. All the animals knew and obeyed Enkidu. He became a protector of wildlife but did not know how to approach human beings. Upon hearing stories about the appearance of a large and strong man, Gilgamesh decided to send Shamhat, a priestess from the temple of Uruk, to inquire into the case and try to seduce that mysterious man. The goal was to take away his purity granted by the goddess. To the priestess's surprise, Enkidu was as impressive as Gilgamesh, and she quickly fell in love with him. After 7 days and 7 nights of sultry love, Enkidu became civilized. He learned to wear clothes and eat food like humans. After that, Shamhat told him about the existence of Gilgamesh and his reign of tyranny. A great wedding was about to take place in the city of Uruk, but, as usual, Gilgamesh appeared and demanded to possess the bride before the wedding. To the relief of the bride and groom, Enkidu appeared from among the crowd. He had arrived in the city guided by the priestess Shamhat. Gilgamesh and Enkidu entered a furious argument about the disrespectfulness of interfering in a marriage of two people who loved each other. For the first time in his life, Gilgamesh found someone able to strike back at him. This made him angry. Anticipating the ensuing mayhem, the crowd quickly moved away from the scene, leaving the two giants face to face. Gilgamesh was the first to resort to violence. The two powerful beings exchanged blows. The epic fight between the two demigods lasted for 7 uninterrupted days and destroyed several houses in the city. Each punch landed by the two titans was enough to kill 5 human warriors, but neither seemed to give in. Inevitably, they began to admire each other. Gilgamesh finally managed to strike a clean blow and knocked Enkidu down. But instead of exterminating his opponent, Gilgamesh reached out and helped Enkidu to his feet. Both were proud of the great fight and embraced each other, beginning an eternal friendship. From that day on, Gilgamesh became a more just king and stopped tormenting his people. In the following years, Gilgamesh and Enkidu traveled through many unknown lands, where they had many adventures together, defeating monsters and heroes of all kinds. But one thought hovered over Gilgamesh's mind. He knew the two of them were growing old and would one day have to face death. To immortalize their names, Gilgamesh asked Enkidu to travel to the cedar forest where the powerful demon Humbaba lived, being so dreadful and dangerous that even the gods respected him. Humbaba had never left the forest and had not committed any action likely to provoke Gilgamesh's attack. Still, he had to defend himself against his attackers. When they saw the demon Humbaba, the pair of demigods were paralyzed with terror. for they had never seen such a terrifying creature. Trying to gain courage, Gilgamesh attacked him with his axe. After a few attempts, he wounded the monster sideways. Enkidu used a spear to deliver the fatal blow to Humbaba's throat, ending the nightmarish bout. Before dying, Humbaba cursed them both, saying that one of them would die as punishment for what they had done. Although Gilgamesh and Enkidu had accomplished a great feat, Humbaba's death angered the gods. Still, Gilgamesh and Enkidu returned to the city of Uruk, where they planned to celebrate the event. But an unexpected guest appeared during the party. Ishtar, goddess of love, beauty, war, and fertility, was impressed by Gilgamesh's handsomeness and strength and decided to make him her lover. Despite her enormous charm, Ishtar failed to seduce Gilgamesh. He rejected her, claiming that he was aware that all of Ishtar's other lovers had died horrible deaths. Ishtar was furious at Gilgamesh's boldness and swore revenge. Ishtar asked her father, the celestial god Anu, for help, begging him to send the most powerful creature of all to kill Gilgamesh and Enkidu. The god Anu sent the bull of heaven to earth to destroy the city of Uruk and Gilgamesh. The bull came down from heaven, bringing with it 7 years of famine and natural disasters, such as hurricanes and earthquakes. The people of Uruk quickly pleaded with Gilgamesh and Enkidu to destroy the celestial beast. The huge confrontation between the two demigods and the strong divine bull shook all of Mesopotamia. Gilgamesh and Enkidu used the same weapons with which they defeated the demon Humbaba, and together they killed the bull of heaven. As a sign of contempt, Gilgamesh cut off one of the bull's legs and threw it at the feet of the goddess Ishtar, who was watching the fight from a distance. Not only was Ishtar angry, but the other gods rebelled against Gilgamesh and Enkidu, deciding to punish them. After deliberating about what had happened, the gods decided that Enkidu would have to die because he was the one who had held the bull of heaven by the horns for Gilgamesh to give the animal the final blow. A few days later, Enkidu fell gravely ill and realized that his death was near. Seeing his best friend in that situation, Gilgamesh became desperate, asking the best doctors in the kingdom to find a cure, but to no avail. Enkidu died in agony, delirious in Gilgamesh's arms, and Gilgamesh wept bitterly for days. Enkidu's death made Gilgamesh fear for his existence. The dread of the end made him begin a search for the secret of immortality and a way to resurrect Enkidu. He traveled far through mountains and deserts, hoping to find Utnapishtim, the man who survived the great flood and was rewarded by the gods with immortality. With the help of the boatman Ur-Shanabi, Gilgamesh crossed a huge lake of poisonous waters, finally reaching the home of the immortal Utnapishtim. But to Gilgamesh's disappointment, Utnapishtim explained to him that only the gods could grant eternal life. Even so, there was a miraculous plant in the depths of the sea capable of rejuvenating whoever ate it, prolonging their lifespan. Gilgamesh dived into the sea and found the plant, but when he returned to the surface, he left it on the banks of a lake while he bathed, to purify himself from the long journey. And something terrible happened. A common snake, attracted by the plant's sweet smell, devoured it. When Gilgamesh noticed what had happened, it was too late. He found the snake's dry skin, indicating that the animal had rejuvenated. Gilgamesh concluded that no man, no matter how strong and rich he may be, can defeat death, and he accepted his end. He returned to Uruk and for the first time noticed how magnificent and enduring his city was. His legacy as a good king would be the closest thing to immortality he could achieve. Gilgamesh decided to draft his story on clay tablets, forever eternalizing the name of him, his friend Enkidu, and the great adventures of both.
The lineage of the Habaib, a historical perspective. In Indonesia, the term Habib carries significant weight, signifying a direct lineage to the Prophet Muhammad. Historically, the Habaib have held positions of religious authority, receiving respect and reverence within Indonesian society. Their arrival in the archipelago is closely tied to the spread of Islam, and their ancestral claims play a crucial role in their social standing. However, recent research has cast doubt on the veracity of these lineage claims, sparking a heated debate about identity, history, and religious authenticity. The controversy surrounding the Habib lineage is not merely an academic exercise, it touches the very core of Indonesian Muslim identity. For centuries, the belief in this direct lineage has shaped social structures, influenced religious practices, and fostered a sense of pride and belonging among those who claim descent from the Prophet. Challenging this deeply held belief is bound to provoke strong reactions, raising questions about the motivations behind the research and its potential impact on Indonesian society. Imaduddin Usman, a scholar from Banten, embarked on a journey to unravel the complexities of the Habib lineage in Indonesia. His research, meticulous and comprehensive, delved into 9 major lineage texts and numerous supporting documents, scrutinizing historical evidence and tracing the intricate web of ancestral connections. Usman's findings, published in his book, The Habib Myth, shocked Indonesian society, challenging long-held assumptions and igniting a firestorm of controversy. Usman's research uncovered significant discrepancies and inconsistencies in the genealogical records, raising serious doubts about the validity of many Habib lineage claims. He identified broken narrative chains, missing links, and questionable historical evidence, suggesting that some lineages may have been fabricated or exaggerated to bolster social standing or religious authority. His findings sparked outrage among some Habib, who fiercely defended their lineage and accused Usman of disrespecting their heritage. Habib Bahar bin Smith, a prominent and often controversial figure, emerged as a vocal critic of Usman's research. Known for his fiery rhetoric and uncompromising stance, Bahar vehemently denounced the questioning of Habib lineages, viewing it as an attack on Islam itself. He challenged Usman's findings, dismissing them as baseless accusations and an attempt to sow discord within the Muslim community. Bahar's response went beyond mere disagreement. He issued a conditional challenge, agreeing to undergo a DNA test only if the Prophet Muhammad's tomb was excavated for a DNA sample. This provocative statement drew widespread condemnation, as excavation is strictly forbidden in Islam and considered a grave act of religious desecration. Bahar's condition was widely perceived as a deliberate attempt to derail the conversation and avoid scrutiny, further fueling the controversy surrounding Habib lineages. Part 4. The case of Najwa Shihab's DNA test. In 2019, renowned Indonesian journalist Najwa Shihab, known for her investigative reporting and commitment to seeking the truth, decided to explore her own ancestry through a DNA test. Shihab, whose lineage includes respected religious figures, underwent the test conducted by prominent geneticist Dr. Herawati Sudoyo, seeking a deeper understanding of her heritage. The results, revealed on Shihab's program, Mata Najwa, provided fascinating insights into her genetic makeup, but also raised intriguing questions about lineage and identity. Shihab's DNA test revealed a diverse ancestry, with 50% South Asian, Indian, 20% North African, Berber, and only 2.2% Arab heritage. While the results showcased the richness of her genetic background, they also indicated a low probability of direct descent from the Prophet Muhammad. Shihab's decision to publicly share her DNA results sparked a national conversation about the complexities of lineage, the limitations of DNA testing, and the importance of embracing one's heritage, regardless of its connection to historical figures. Part 5. Unraveling Genealogical Inconsistencies. Usman's research uncovered a web of inconsistencies in Habib lineage records, particularly concerning Ubaidillah, a key figure in many genealogies. Ubaidillah, believed to be a descendant of the Prophet through his grandson Hussein, serves as a crucial link in many Habib family trees. However, Usman's investigation revealed an absence of historical documentation for Ubaidillah in earlier lineage texts. This lack of evidence for Ubaidillah's existence in early records raises serious questions about the authenticity of lineages claiming descent from him. Fakhrur Razi, a renowned scholar from the 5th century Hijri, meticulously documented the Prophet's lineage, yet his writings make no mention of Ubaidillah. This omission, given Razi's meticulous record-keeping, casts significant doubt on Ubaidillah's place in the Prophet's family tree. The absence of corroborating evidence for such a pivotal figure suggests potential fabrication or misattribution in later genealogical records. Part 6. The Generation Gap. A Statistical Conundrum. Usman's research also highlighted significant discrepancies in the generation gaps within Habib lineages, further fueling doubts about their accuracy. The average generation gap, the number of years between generations among the Habaib, is estimated to be around 41 years, a figure significantly higher than the global average of 25 to 30 years. This discrepancy becomes increasingly improbable when considering historical marriage and childbirth patterns, where early marriage and childbirth were common, especially within the context of the Prophet's era. The unusually large generation gaps suggest potential errors or manipulations in the lineage records. Whether due to deliberate falsification or unintentional mistakes, the inflated generation spans cast doubt on the reliability of these genealogies. The statistical improbability of such large gaps, especially considering the historical context, raises red flags and necessitates further investigation and verification. Part 7. The quest for accurate genealogical records. The controversy surrounding Habaib lineages in Indonesia underscores the importance of accurate and reliable genealogical records, particularly in religious and cultural contexts where lineage carries significant weight. While DNA tests can offer valuable insights into ancestry, they cannot definitively prove or disprove religious lineage, as religious identity encompasses more than just biological relationships. The pursuit of accurate genealogical records is not about discrediting individuals or communities, but rather about honoring the truth and ensuring that lineage claims are based on solid evidence. It's about respecting the legacy of Prophet Muhammad by ensuring that those who claim descent from him do so based on verifiable historical data. The quest for accuracy is an ongoing process, requiring open dialogue, rigorous research, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths.
King Henry VIII is a name synonymous with power, ambition, and of course, wives. He is perhaps England's most notorious king. His 6 marriages, each more scandalous than the last, have captivated historians and storytellers for centuries. But Henry was more than just a husband. He was a king who reshaped England's destiny. This essay delves into the life and reign of this formidable monarch. We'll explore his tumultuous relationships, his pivotal role in the English Reformation, and his lasting impact on England. His story is a tapestry woven with political intrigue, religious upheaval, and personal drama. Henry's reign was a turning point in English history, marking a definitive break from the Roman Catholic Church and the establishment of the Church of England. He was a king of contradictions, a devout Catholic who broke with the papacy, a loving husband who condemned his wives, a ruthless tyrant with a passion for music and art. Born in 1491, Henry was the second son of King Henry VII and Elizabeth of York. Initially, he wasn't destined for the throne. His elder brother Arthur was the heir apparent. As a result, Henry's upbringing differed significantly from what one might expect for a future king. While Arthur was groomed for kingship, Henry received an education primarily focused on religious matters. He was a bright student, fluent in several languages, and deeply interested in theology and music. He was a devout Catholic, a faith instilled in him from a young age. Little did he know that this faith would be tested in ways he could never have imagined. Henry was a handsome and athletic young man, skilled in hunting, jousting, and dancing. He was also known for his charm and charisma. However, beneath this affable exterior lurked a stubborn will and a fiery temper, traits that would become increasingly prominent as he grew older. In 1502, Prince Arthur died unexpectedly, leaving the throne to the 11-year-old Henry. The young prince was suddenly thrust into the spotlight, his destiny irrevocably altered. Gone were the days of scholarly pursuits and religious contemplation. He was now heir to one of the most powerful thrones in Europe. Henry, who had been groomed for a life in the church, now found himself at the center of political intrigue and royal responsibilities. His education, which had focused on theology and the arts, had to quickly pivot to matters of statecraft, diplomacy, and military strategy. The court, once a place of learning and culture for young Henry, transformed into a stage where every move was scrutinized and every decision had far-reaching consequences. The weight of the crown was heavy, and the young prince had to grow up fast. His father, Henry VII, was a shrewd and calculating king who had spent years consolidating his power after the Wars of the Roses. The elder Henry was determined to secure the Tudor dynasty, and so he quickly arranged for Henry to marry Arthur's widow, Catherine of Aragon. Catherine was the daughter of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, making her a valuable political ally. The marriage required a special dispensation from the Pope because Catherine had been briefly married to Arthur. Despite some initial hesitation, the Pope granted the dispensation, and Henry and Catherine were married in 1509 when he ascended to the throne. The union with Catherine was not just a personal matter, but a strategic alliance that strengthened England's position in Europe. Henry's father had meticulously planned this marriage to ensure that the Tudor lineage would continue unchallenged, and that England would have a powerful ally in Spain. The young Henry, now King Henry VIII, had to navigate the complex web of European politics, balancing alliances and rivalries. His father's legacy was one of cautious consolidation, but Henry VIII had a different vision for his reign. He was ambitious, charismatic, and eager to leave his mark on history. The Tudor dynasty, with its emblem of the rose, symbolized a new era for England. Henry VIII's reign would be marked by significant changes, both domestically and internationally. He was determined to be a king who was remembered not just for his lineage, but for his achievements and reforms. The marriage to Catherine of Aragon was the first of many significant events in Henry's life. It set the stage for his future actions and decisions, many of which would have profound implications for England and the wider world. Catherine, a devout Catholic and a strong-willed woman, played a crucial role in Henry's early reign. She was not just a queen, but a partner in governance, offering counsel and support. Their marriage, however, would face numerous challenges, both personal and political. As Henry VIII grew into his role as king, he began to assert his authority more forcefully. He was determined to be a monarch who was not overshadowed by his father's legacy. His ambitions would lead him to make bold and sometimes controversial decisions that would shape the course of English history. The Pope's dispensation for Henry's marriage to Catherine was just the beginning of Henry's complex relationship with the Catholic Church. His desire for a male heir and his subsequent marriages would eventually lead to a monumental break with Rome and the establishment of the Church of England. Henry's reign was a period of significant transformation. The young prince, who had once been destined for a quiet life of religion, became one of the most famous and influential kings in English history. His story is a testament to the unpredictable nature of destiny and the enduring impact of leadership. Despite some initial hesitation, the Pope granted the dispensation, and Henry and Catherine were married in 1509 when he ascended to the throne. This marriage, though initially seen as a strong political alliance, would eventually become a source of great personal and political turmoil for Henry. The union with Catherine was not just a personal matter, but a strategic alliance that strengthened England's position in Europe. Henry's father had meticulously planned this marriage to ensure that the Tudor lineage would continue unchallenged, and that England would have a powerful ally in Spain. The young Henry, now King Henry VIII, had to navigate the complex web of European politics, balancing alliances and rivalries. His father's legacy was one of cautious consolidation, but Henry VIII had a different vision for his reign. He was ambitious, charismatic, and eager to leave his mark on history. Section 4. Catherine of Aragon, a queen cast aside. Catherine of Aragon, a devout Catholic and a woman of great dignity and strength, was initially well loved by the English people. Born in 1485, she was the youngest daughter of the powerful Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella II of Castile. Her upbringing was steeped in the values of the Catholic faith, and she was well educated, fluent in Latin, and knowledgeable in various subjects, including philosophy and theology. Her marriage to Henry VIII was seen as a strong political alliance between England and Spain, two of the most powerful nations in Europe at the time. She and Henry seemed to have a happy marriage in the early years. They shared common interests, and Henry admired her intelligence and strong will. Catherine was not just a queen, but also a trusted advisor to Henry, often involved in political and diplomatic matters. Their union was celebrated, and Catherine's coronation was a grand affair, symbolizing the hope and prosperity that their marriage promised to bring to England. However, their relationship was plagued by tragedy. Despite their initial happiness, the couple faced immense personal grief. Catherine's numerous pregnancies ended in heartbreak, with many miscarriages and stillbirths. The loss of their children took a toll on their marriage, and the pressure to produce a male heir became a constant source of tension. Catherine suffered multiple miscarriages and stillbirths, and only one of their children, a daughter named Mary, survived infancy. Mary would later become known as Mary Ferd of England, or Bloody Mary, for her persecution of Protestants. The survival of only one child, and a female at that, was a significant disappointment to Henry, who was desperate for a male heir to secure the Tudor dynasty. Henry desperately needed a male heir to secure the Tudor dynasty and prevent another civil war like the Wars of the Roses. The memory of the bloody conflict that had torn England apart was still fresh, and Henry was determined to avoid a similar fate. The lack of a male heir not only threatened the stability of the kingdom, but also Henry's legacy and the future of the Tudor line. As the years passed and Catherine failed to produce a son, Henry became increasingly anxious. His desperation grew, and he began to distance himself from Catherine. The once loving relationship turned cold, and Henry's frustration was evident to all at court. He started to seek solace elsewhere, and his wandering eye eventually fell upon Anne Boleyn, a lady-in-waiting to Queen Catherine. He began to question the legitimacy of his marriage to his brother's widow, wondering if it had incurred God's wrath. This doubt was not just a personal crisis, but also a theological one. Henry turned to the Bible and found a passage in Leviticus that seemed to suggest that his marriage to Catherine was cursed because she had been his brother's wife. This interpretation gave Henry the justification he needed to seek an annulment. His doubts were fueled by his advisors, some of whom saw an opportunity to weaken Catherine's powerful Spanish family. The political landscape of Europe was shifting, and many at the English court believed that distancing England from Spain would be advantageous. These advisors, including the influential Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, played on Henry's fears and ambitions, encouraging him to pursue an annulment. One such advisor, Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, suggested that Henry seek an annulment from the Pope. Wolsey, who was also the Lord Chancellor, had significant influence and believed that he could secure the Pope's approval. He assured Henry that an annulment was possible and that it would solve all his problems, both personal and political. Thus began a long and arduous process that would ultimately lead to England's break from the Roman Catholic Church. The Pope's refusal to grant the annulment set off a chain of events that changed the course of English history. Henry's determination to marry Anne Boleyn and secure a male heir led to the English Reformation, the establishment of the Church of England, and a profound transformation of the religious and political landscape of the nation. Section 5. Anne Boleyn, all for a son. While Henry was desperately seeking an annulment from Catherine, he became enamored by one of her ladies-in-waiting, Anne Boleyn. Anne was not just any lady-in-waiting, she was a woman of remarkable charm and intelligence. Her presence at court was like a breath of fresh air for Henry, who had grown weary of his marriage to Catherine of Aragon. Anne's wit and vivacity captivated him, and he found himself increasingly drawn to her. Anne was unlike any woman Henry had ever met. She was not only beautiful, but also possessed a keen intellect and a sharp tongue. Her ability to engage in lively conversation and her refusal to be subservient made her stand out in a court where women were often expected to be seen and not heard. She was intelligent, witty, and fiercely independent. Anne's education had been exceptional for a woman of her time, and she was well versed in the arts, literature, and politics. Her independence and confidence were qualities that Henry found irresistible, and he was determined to make her his own. She was also a Protestant sympathizer, which would have a profound impact on Henry's religious views. Anne's interest in the Reformation and her support for religious reformers like William Tyndale and Thomas Cranmer influenced Henry's own thinking. Her beliefs would eventually play a crucial role in the establishment of the Church of England. Anne refused to be just another royal mistress. She was determined to secure her position and ensure that she would not be cast aside like so many others before her. Anne's refusal to become Henry's mistress only made him more determined to win her over. She knew that Henry was obsessed with having a son, and she used this to her advantage. Anne understood that Henry's desire for a male heir was his greatest weakness, and she skillfully played on this to secure her own future. She made it clear that she would only marry him if he made her his queen. She made it clear that she would only marry him if he made her his queen. This bold stance put Henry in a difficult position. He was already married to Catherine of Aragon, and the Pope was reluctant to grant him an annulment. However, Henry's desire for Anne and his desperation for a male heir drove him to take drastic measures. This put Henry in a difficult position. He was torn between his duty to his wife and his kingdom, and his overwhelming desire for Anne. The situation was further complicated by the fact that Catherine was a beloved queen and a devout Catholic, making the prospect of an annulment even more challenging. He was already married, and the Pope was reluctant to grant him an annulment. The Pope's refusal to annul Henry's marriage to Catherine led to a prolonged and bitter struggle between the English crown and the papacy. Henry's frustration grew as he realized that his hopes of marrying Anne and securing a male heir were slipping away. However, Henry was determined to have Anne. His determination knew no bounds, and he was willing to go to great lengths to achieve his goal. Henry's advisors, including Thomas Cromwell and Thomas Cranmer, began to explore alternative solutions to the problem of his marriage. He broke with the Catholic Church, declared himself supreme head of the Church of England, and finally got his annulment. This momentous decision marked the beginning of the English Reformation and had far-reaching consequences for the country. By breaking away from the authority of the Pope, Henry was able to marry Anne and pursue his quest for a male heir. In 1533, he married Anne in a secret ceremony. The marriage was a turning point in English history, as it solidified Henry's break from the Catholic Church and set the stage for the religious and political upheavals that would follow. The break from Rome was a momentous event in English history, with far-reaching consequences that continue to this day. It not only changed the religious landscape of England, but also had a profound impact on the monarchy, the nobility, and the common people. The legacy of Henry and Anne's union is still felt in the modern world, as the Church of England remains a central institution in British life.
Before we dive into Henry VIII's quest for a male heir, make sure to watch our previous video on his early reign and marriage to Catherine of Aragon. I'm sure you've heard the news. Henry VIII's desire for a male heir led him to question his marriage to Catherine of Aragon. Catherine, a Spanish princess, was initially married to Henry's older brother Arthur. After Arthur's untimely death, Henry married his brother's widow to maintain the alliance with Spain. Despite several pregnancies, only one child survived infancy, a daughter named Mary. The lack of a male heir troubled Henry deeply, casting a shadow over his reign. He became convinced that his marriage to Catherine was cursed. Leviticus chapter 20 verse 21 stated, "If a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing." Henry, a devout Catholic, saw this verse as a divine explanation for his lack of a son. He became fixated on the idea that his marriage was invalid in the eyes of God, and sought an annulment. This marked the beginning of Henry's tumultuous relationship with the Catholic Church. He believed he had found a loophole to break free from his marriage and secure a male heir. But he underestimated the complexities of religious law and the Pope's resolve. While Henry grappled with the Pope and his own conscience, a new figure captivated his attention, Anne Boleyn.
"I refuse to be just another royal mistress. If you want me, you must marry me and make me your queen."
Anne, a lady-in-waiting to Queen Catherine, was everything Catherine was not: witty, fashionable, and fiercely intelligent. Anne's influence on Henry was profound. She fueled his frustration with the Church, encouraging him to break free from Rome's control and establish himself as the supreme head of the Church in England.
"Henry, consider the ideas of reformers like William Tyndale. The Bible should be in English, and you should have greater control over religious matters."
Emboldened by Anne's support and his own growing impatience, Henry made a radical decision. He broke with the Catholic Church, declared himself the supreme head of the Church of England, and annulled his marriage to Catherine, paving the way for his marriage to Anne. This act of defiance sent shockwaves throughout Europe. It marked a decisive break with centuries of tradition and ushered in a new era of religious upheaval in England.
"I'm not just a lady-in-waiting anymore, I'm a catalyst for change."
Anne Boleyn, once a mere lady-in-waiting, had become a pivotal figure in English history, the catalyst for a religious revolution. Her defiance and determination played a crucial role in Henry VIII's decision to divorce Catherine and reshape the religious landscape of England. Henry's quest for a male heir and his tumultuous love life are forever intertwined in the public imagination. He married 6 times, each marriage a chapter in his relentless pursuit of a son and a testament to his capricious nature. Anne Boleyn, his second wife, failed to produce the longed-for male heir. She gave birth to a healthy daughter, Elizabeth, but Henry, ever fixated on a son, grew disillusioned.
"Anne, you have failed me. You are accused of adultery and treason.
Anne met a tragic end on the executioner's block. Her daughter Elizabeth declared illegitimate. Jane Seymour, his third wife, finally fulfilled Henry's desperate desire, giving birth to a son, Edward. However, Jane died shortly after childbirth, leaving Henry heartbroken but with the male heir he had so desperately craved. His subsequent marriages to Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr were a mix of political maneuvering, fleeting infatuation, and, in Catherine Parr's case, genuine affection and companionship.
My love for you is true, but I fear the consequences of your wrath.
These marriages, though less dramatic than his earlier unions, further illustrate the complex and often ruthless nature of Henry's personality. His divorces and annulments left a trail of broken lives and altered the course of English history forever. As the years passed, Henry VIII's once powerful and commanding presence began to wane. The weight of his decisions, his relentless pursuit of a male heir, and the physical toll of his injuries and illnesses started to show. Henry VIII's descent into madness was marked by erratic behavior, paranoia, and ruthless decisions. His once sharp mind became clouded, leading to a reign of terror that left a lasting scar on England. The court watched in fear as the king's sanity slipped away and his actions became increasingly unpredictable and violent. Trusted advisors and courtiers found themselves at the mercy of the king's volatile temper. Accusations of treason became commonplace, and many who had once enjoyed the king's favor found themselves imprisoned or executed. Henry's paranoia extended to those closest to him, including his own family. The king's deteriorating mental state made it impossible for anyone to feel truly safe. The shadow of the executioner's axe loomed large over the court, a constant reminder of the king's capacity for ruthless retribution. Despite his descent into madness, Henry VIII's legacy endured. His creation of the Church of England, his 6 marriages, and his impact on English history remained etched in the annals of time. But the final years of his reign were a stark contrast to the vibrant and ambitious king he had once been. The once great monarch, now a shadow of his former self, left behind a kingdom forever changed by his rule. Henry VIII's story serves as a cautionary tale of the dangers of absolute power and the human cost of a king's unyielding ambition. Henry VIII's fall from a horse marked a significant turning point in his life. The accident left him with a severe leg injury that never fully healed, leading to chronic pain and mobility issues. This incident not only affected his physical health but also his mental state, as the once vibrant king struggled to come to terms with his new limitations. As a result, Henry's physical activity decreased, and he began to gain weight rapidly. His obesity became a defining feature in his later years, affecting his health and his reign as king. The chronic pain and immobility led to a more irritable and unpredictable ruler, further straining his relationships with those around him. In addition to his physical ailments, Henry's declining health exacerbated his paranoia and authoritarian tendencies. He became increasingly isolated, relying on a small circle of advisors and often making rash decisions that would have lasting impacts on the kingdom. The leg injury and subsequent health decline serve as a poignant reminder of the vulnerability and humanity of even the most powerful figures in history. Henry VIII's later years were marked by a stark contrast to the energetic and ambitious king he once was, offering a sobering conclusion to his tumultuous reign. As we reflect on the physical decline of Henry VIII, we gain a more nuanced understanding of the personal struggles that shaped his legacy. It serves as a powerful reminder of the fragility of human health and the far-reaching consequences it can have on leadership and governance. The story of Henry VIII's injury and its aftermath adds another layer to the complex tapestry of his life and reign, further cementing his place in history as a monarch whose personal and political life were deeply intertwined. As Henry VIII's life drew to a close, his physical condition deteriorated rapidly. The once formidable king, who had towered over his court with strength and authority, was now bedridden and plagued by a myriad of health issues. His obesity, coupled with a festering leg wound that refused to heal, left him in constant pain and misery. Gout and other ailments added to his suffering, and his once commanding presence was reduced to a frail and weakened state. In his final days, Henry VIII was haunted by the ghosts of his past. The faces of his executed wives and advisors seemed to loom over him, a grim reminder of the ruthless decisions that had marked his reign. The king's mind, once sharp and strategic, was now clouded with regret and paranoia. Surrounded by a dwindling circle of loyal attendants, Henry VIII faced the end of his life with a sense of isolation and despair. On January 28, 1547, Henry VIII passed away, leaving behind a kingdom forever altered by his rule. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy would continue to shape England for generations to come. The Church of England, established through his defiance of the Pope, remained a cornerstone of English religious life. His 6 marriages, each fraught with drama and intrigue, became the stuff of legend, capturing the imagination of historians and storytellers alike. Henry VIII's reign was a testament to the complexities of power, ambition, and human frailty. His story serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the profound impact one ruler can have on the course of history. The legacy of Henry VIII is etched into the very fabric of England, a powerful reminder of the king who changed the nation forever. As the final chapter of Henry VIII's life closed, the weight of his decisions and the cost of his ambition were laid bare for all to see. The once great monarch, now a shadow of his former self, left behind a kingdom forever changed by his rule. Henry VIII's story serves as a cautionary tale of the dangers of absolute power and the human cost of a king's unyielding ambition.
Hello friends, have you ever imagined the origins of Jakarta, the city that is now the capital of Indonesia? Today, Jakarta is known as a metropolitan city full of skyscrapers and heavy traffic. But in the past, Jakarta was a small port, very different from now. Long ago, this city was known as Sunda Kelapa, an important port on the west coast of Java Island. The name Sunda Kelapa comes from the many coconut trees that grew abundantly along its riverbanks. Back then, Sunda Kelapa was just a quiet little port, far from the hustle and bustle of today. Imagine, in the place now filled with malls and apartments, there used to be only coconut trees and simple fishing boats. Sunda Kelapa was located at a very strategic river mouth, making it an important trading center. Many traders from all over the world stopped here, bringing merchandise such as spices, fabrics, and ceramics. From spices to silk, everything was traded at this port. In the year 1527, the port of Sunda Kelapa was successfully captured by Fathahilla's troops from the Demak Sultanate. After that victory, the name Sunda Kelapa was changed to Jayakarta, which means perfect victory. From that moment on, Jayakarta continued to develop until it finally became the Jakarta we know today. Interesting, isn't it? Sunda Kelapa wasn't just an important port, but also a center for trade and a meeting place for different cultures. Traders from China, India, and even Europe came, bringing their rich cultures and goods. In the port's market, valuable goods like ceramics, textiles, and spices, which were the main attraction, were exchanged. Interactions between foreign traders and locals created a harmonious atmosphere of mutual respect. Guests from faraway lands were warmly welcomed and given the freedom to trade, enriching the social and cultural life of Sunda Kelapa. It's no wonder that Sunda Kelapa grew into a prosperous port and became a major hub for cultural interaction in the Nusantara archipelago. However, Sunda Kelapa's prosperity and cultural diversity attracted the attention of European nations who wanted to control the spice trade. The arrival of the Portuguese marked the beginning of a major change in the port's history. Resistance emerged to defend Sunda Kelapa's identity and sovereignty as a center of trade and culture. In the 16th century, the Portuguese arrived in Sunda Kelapa. They wanted to control the super-important spice trade in the area. They built a strong fort by the harbor to make themselves powerful and control all the trading. But the people of Sunda Kelapa weren't going to just stand by. A brave commander from Demak, Fathahillah, led a huge fight back with his army and the local people to take back their important port. A big battle happened on June 22, 1527. This was a really important moment in the city's history. Fathahillah and his army were really smart and brave, and they beat the Portuguese. They took back Sunda Kelapa. This win was a huge deal. It was the end of outsiders controlling the port. To show everyone it was a new beginning, Sunda Kelapa got a new name, Jayakarta, which means Victory City. This was a really important moment for the city. It became a center for trade, culture, and government in the area. Jakarta, once glorious as Jayakarta, soon faced a huge challenge. The arrival of the Dutch in the early 17th century brought strong colonial influence. Jayakarta was conquered and destroyed, marking the end of its golden age. On its ruins, the Dutch built Batavia with European architecture and grand canals. The city became a center of government and trade, bringing big social changes. Canals were built to control floods and make the city beautiful. But behind Batavia's splendor, there were big problems. Diseases like malaria spread because of poor sanitation. The native people lived in poverty and faced social pressure because of the colonial system. Hey everyone, let's go back in time to one of the most important chapters in Jakarta's history, the time of the VOC, or Dutch East India Company. After conquering Jayakarta in 1619, the VOC made Batavia their main headquarters in the East Indies. This was the start of a new era that changed the city forever. The arrival of the VOC brought many big changes to Jakarta. Big forts, canals, and European-style buildings started filling the city, turning Batavia into a busy colonial center. Trade boomed, attracting people from many different cultures: Chinese, Arab, Indian, and the native people, all looking for opportunities in the growing city. But this progress came at a cost. The VOC tightly controlled trade, monopolizing spices and other valuable resources. Many local people were forced to pay heavy taxes and do forced labor, which caused social tension and frequent conflicts. One of the most tragic events was the massacre of the Chinese community in 1740, a dark reminder of the harsh realities of that time. Economically, Batavia became the center of Dutch government and trade in Asia. The city's strategic harbor connected Europe with the riches of the Indonesian archipelago. Sadly, the VOC's exploitative policies also deepened the social divide and created inequality that shaped Jakarta's society for generations. Even today, the legacy of the VOC era is still visible. Historic places like Kota Tua showcase Dutch colonial architecture, while the canal system and street layout still reflect Batavia's original design. These remnants are silent witnesses to a complex and often turbulent past. By understanding the VOC chapter in Jakarta's history, we can appreciate how history has shaped the city's identity, reminding us to learn from the past as we build a more just and inclusive future. Hey friends, we're talking about Jakarta again. Back then, Jakarta was called Batavia, and it was controlled by a Dutch company called the VOC. Even though the VOC was really powerful, the people of Jakarta were still brave enough to fight back. During the 17th and 18th centuries, many heroes emerged in Jakarta. One of them was Prince Jayakarta. He led the resistance when the VOC first arrived. Prince Jayakarta became an inspiration for other fighters. Now, there was also Untung Surapati. He was once a slave, but he became a great leader. Surapati used guerrilla tactics, like hiding in the forest and attacking suddenly. He also collaborated with regional leaders. It really gave the VOC a headache. It wasn't just individuals, many groups also resisted. The Chinese community, for example, they were victims of a massacre in 1740. That's so sad. But they still bravely resisted the VOC secretly. The Javanese, Betawi, and other ethnic groups also joined the resistance. Sometimes they fought openly, sometimes they secretly damaged VOC property. Pretty cool, right? All of this resistance, big or small, was very important to Jakarta's history. It really weakened the VOC. More importantly, this resistance united the people of Jakarta. They had the same goal: freedom. Now, we can see monuments and street names that commemorate these heroes. They teach us about courage and the spirit of unity. Jakarta is not just a city of colonization, but also a city of fighters. Hey friends, this time we're going to talk about Jakarta's history, specifically the transition from the VOC, Dutch East India Company, to the Dutch East Indies government. Exciting, right? After many years of VOC rule in Batavia, their power started to weaken. Imagine, such a big trading company went bankrupt at the end of the 18th century. Jakarta was like a ship without a captain. Finally, in 1799, the Dutch government disbanded the VOC and took over Batavia. This was the start of a new era, the Dutch colonial administration. Unlike the VOC, which was focused on making money, this colonial government was more organized. They set up government offices, new laws, and a tax system. The city's appearance also changed. Many Dutch-style buildings started to appear: schools, hospitals, and new roads connecting Batavia to other areas in Java. But this change was a double-edged sword. There was progress, but there were also strict rules and forced labor. The Dutch controlled a lot of land and resources, making life difficult for the people. Society became divided, and local traditions were sometimes suppressed in favor of European customs. Despite all this, Batavia continued to grow. People from different backgrounds, Javanese, Chinese, Arab, and European, lived together, making Jakarta a bustling and diverse city. The seeds of modern Jakarta began to grow during this period, laying the foundation for future development. We can still see traces of the colonial period today, from the buildings in Kota Tua, Old Town, to the street names. Understanding this transition period is really important, so we can understand how Jakarta developed through struggle and adaptation into the big city it is today. Hey everyone! We're going to talk about the time after the VOC was dissolved and the Dutch colonial government took over. This is a new chapter in the struggle of the Indonesian people. Across the archipelago, resistance against colonialism grew stronger. Why? Because of the harsh policies and injustice of the new government. Let's get to know some of the heroes who became symbols of resistance. In Yogyakarta, there was Prince Diponegoro, who led the legendary Java War from 1825 to 1830. His struggle wasn't just about land, but also about dignity, religion, and the right to self-determination. This war shook the Dutch and inspired many people to join the fight. In Aceh too, fierce resistance raged for decades. Leaders like Kut Niak Dien, Tuku Umar, and Kut Motia became legends. They were very brave in defending their homeland. Their stories show the spirit of never giving up. In Jakarta itself, a movement for change began to grow. The establishment of Budi Utomo in 1908 and Sarekat Islam in 1912 marked the birth of modern Indonesian nationalism. These organizations united people from various backgrounds, instilling the seeds of national identity and the dream of independence. Major uprisings such as the Cipinang Prison Uprising and the Communist Uprising of 1926 showed that the people's patience had run out. Despite being harshly suppressed, the spirit for freedom grew stronger. The impact of these struggles was enormous. They paved the way for future generations, inspiring the leaders and thinkers who eventually proclaimed Indonesia's independence in 1945. Every act of resistance, big or small, became part of a great story of courage, unity, and hope. Through hardship and sacrifice, the spirit of Jakarta and Indonesia grew stronger. This proves that even in the darkest of times, the dream of freedom cannot be silenced. Jakarta played a key role in Indonesia's fight for freedom. This city was where the spirit of resistance grew and burned brightly, even though the colonists tried to erase the nation's identity. From all corners of Jakarta, the people rose up against Dutch rule. Nationalist groups were born and grew in Batavia, which became the center of the independence movement. The Japanese occupation brought big changes, including changing Batavia's name to Jakarta, marking a new chapter in the city's history. After the Declaration of Independence, Jakarta was officially named the capital of Indonesia, a symbol of the nation's unity and rebirth. After the Declaration of Independence, Jakarta was officially named the capital of Indonesia, a symbol of the nation's unity and rebirth. Over time, Jakarta has transformed into a modern metropolis, the center of government, economy, and culture. Amidst the splendor of modern buildings, Jakarta still holds priceless traces of its history in the struggle for independence. Let's care for and preserve Jakarta's historical heritage, so its important role in the nation's journey will always be remembered and inspire future generations. After gaining independence, Jakarta entered a new chapter as the center of Indonesian government, economy, and culture. Rapid urbanization brought tremendous population growth, leading to the construction of skyscrapers, toll roads, and modern mass transportation like the MRT and LRT to meet the mobility needs of millions of residents. Rapid economic growth opened up many opportunities, but urbanization also brought major challenges such as severe traffic jams, air pollution, and a growing social gap amidst rapid population growth. Jakarta is now home to millions of people from diverse backgrounds, who together shaped the city's dynamic and multicultural identity amidst the flow of urbanization. Digital technology is increasingly permeating everyday life, helping Jakarta residents connect, innovate, and find creative solutions to the problems of urbanization and population growth. Although the challenges of a metropolis are not easy, the spirit of mutual cooperation and adaptation of the people of Jakarta continues to grow, becoming a hope for the city's future. The city faces the future with optimism, striving to be an environmentally friendly, inclusive, and sustainable city amidst the challenges of urbanization and population growth. Hope also grows that Jakarta will remain a symbol of Indonesia's progress, a place where history, innovation, and dreams of the future meet, despite the ongoing challenges of urbanization and population growth. Hey friends, let's talk about how Jakarta is trying to become a city that's inclusive, sustainable, and good for the environment. Right now, Jakarta is at a really important point in deciding its future. Lots of tall buildings are going up, there are more and more green parks, and eco-friendly buildings are popping up all over the city. Jakarta's appearance is constantly changing to make a better city for everyone. But challenges like air pollution, traffic jams, and flooding are still big problems. Everyone in Jakarta has an important role to play in making the city inclusive and sustainable. There's a lot of innovation and new energy that makes us optimistic about Jakarta's future. Environmentally friendly transportation, like electric buses, is starting to show up to reduce pollution and make it easier for everyone to get around. Bike sharing programs also support a healthy lifestyle and make it easier for everyone to get around. Advanced technology is being used to monitor pollution and manage natural resources efficiently. Community participation is also really important in building an inclusive city. Lots of people are starting to garden in the city and are active in reducing waste, creating a greener and healthier environment. Jakarta dreams of becoming a modern city that's comfortable, environmentally friendly, and welcoming to everyone. In the future, there will be more public spaces, use of renewable energy, and affordable housing for all. Jakarta's future is full of hope, with a long journey towards a more inclusive and sustainable city. Every challenge we face will strengthen our spirit of togetherness. We all hope Jakarta will become a city with clean air, smooth-running transportation, and a comfortable and prosperous life for everyone. A city that values its history, is open to innovation, and leads the way in sustainable development in Indonesia.
The Roman Republic, in the years before Julius Caesar's assassination, was in a state of turmoil. The Roman Republic, once a beacon of stability, was facing internal strife. Political gridlock, social unrest, and economic inequality were rampant. The traditional systems of governance were strained to their breaking point. Powerful generals, using their legions for leverage, further destabilized the Republic. The Republic was on the brink of collapse. The Roman Senate, once a symbol of shared power, became a battleground for ambitious individuals. The common people, disillusioned by the corrupt aristocracy, yearned for a strong leader. This volatile mix of social, economic, and political instability set the stage for the rise of Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar emerged from this chaos as a charismatic and ambitious leader. Born into a patrician family, he quickly rose through the ranks of Roman politics, demonstrating a keen intellect and a flair for leadership. A skilled general, he achieved dazzling victories in Gaul, greatly expanding Rome's territory. His campaigns were marked by strategic brilliance and relentless determination, earning him the respect and admiration of his troops. Caesar's military triumphs made him a hero to the people. The common citizens of Rome saw him as a champion of their interests, someone who could bring stability and prosperity to their lives. He used his fame and wealth to cultivate a loyal following among the plebeians. By distributing land and wealth to his supporters, he ensured their unwavering loyalty and support. His political maneuvering, often bypassing traditional norms, further aggravated his opponents within the Senate. Many senators viewed him as a threat to the Republic's traditional power structures. Caesar's political ambitions were evident in his pursuit of unprecedented power. He sought to centralize authority and diminish the influence of the Senate, aiming to reshape the Roman political landscape. He formed the first triumvirate with Pompey the Great and Marcus Licinius Crassus, forming a powerful political alliance. This alliance allowed them to dominate Roman politics and push through their agendas. This alliance, however, proved to be unstable and short-lived. Personal ambitions and rivalries soon led to its disintegration, setting the stage for further conflict. Crassus died in battle, and tensions between Caesar and Pompey eventually led to a civil war. The conflict tore Rome apart, pitting former allies against each other in a struggle for supremacy. Caesar's victory in the civil war cemented his position as the most powerful man in Rome. His triumph marked the end of the Republic and the beginning of a new era in Roman history. Caesar's growing power and popularity were seen as a threat to the Republic. His populist reforms, while popular with the masses, were viewed with suspicion by the Senate. Caesar's increasing disregard for traditional norms and his accumulation of power alarmed many senators. They saw in him the spectre of a tyrant, a king in all but name. The final straw came when Caesar crossed the Rubicon River, the boundary between Roman Italy and Cisalpine Gaul, with his legions. This act was tantamount to a declaration of war against the Roman Senate. Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon was a turning point. It signaled his willingness to seize power by force, further alienating his opponents. His actions drove a wedge between him and those who valued the Republic above all else. On March 15, 44 BC, a group of senators, led by Gaius Cassius Longinus and Marcus Junius Brutus, assassinated Julius Caesar in the theatre of Pompey. This event, known as the Ides of March, has since become a symbol of betrayal and political intrigue. The senators, who once revered Caesar, turned against him in a brutal and calculated attack. Driven by a mix of personal grudges and a belief they were saving the Republic, they stabbed Caesar to death. The assassination shocked Rome. The conspirators believed that by eliminating Caesar, they were restoring the Republic to its former glory, free from the threat of dictatorship. The conspirators, believing they were acting in the best interests of the Republic, had misjudged the mood of the people. They underestimated Caesar's popularity and the loyalty he commanded among the Roman populace. The assassination, instead of saving the Republic, threw it further into chaos. The streets of Rome were filled with turmoil as citizens grappled with the sudden loss of their leader. The conspirators had not anticipated the outpouring of grief and anger that followed Caesar's death. The assassination backfired spectacularly. Public mourning turned into widespread unrest, and the conspirators found themselves vilified rather than hailed as saviors. It ignited a power vacuum that plunged Rome into a series of civil wars. The power struggle that ensued saw various factions vying for control, leading to years of bloodshed and instability. The death of Caesar marked the end of an era and the beginning of a period of profound instability. His assassination not only altered the course of Roman history, but also left a lasting legacy on the world, symbolizing the perils of political ambition and betrayal. Section 5. The fallout. The power vacuum left by Caesar's assassination led to a period of intense political maneuvering. Mark Antony, Caesar's close friend and ally, seized the opportunity to rise to prominence. He skillfully used Caesar's popularity and his own oratory skills to rally the people to his side. He sought to avenge Caesar's death and claim his mantle of power. The conspirators, led by Brutus and Cassius, found themselves increasingly isolated. Antony, using his influence, turned public opinion against them, forcing them to flee Rome. While they escaped immediate retribution, they had unwittingly unleashed forces they could not control. The assassination had set the stage for a new round of civil wars that would determine the fate of Rome. Section 6. The Second Triumvirate. Into this volatile situation stepped Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and heir. Though young and initially underestimated, Octavian proved to be shrewd and ambitious. He quickly consolidated his power base, drawing upon the loyalty that Caesar had inspired. He formed the Second Triumvirate with Mark Antony and Marcus Aemilius Lepidus, a powerful alliance that mirrored the first. The Second Triumvirate, unlike its predecessor, was formed with the purpose of restoring order and avenging Caesar's death. They ruthlessly purged their enemies, initiating proscriptions that resulted in the deaths of thousands, including Cicero. However, this alliance, too, was destined for conflict. The ambitious Octavian and the charismatic Antony were rivals for power, and their uneasy alliance would eventually fracture. Section 7. Caesar's heir. The Second Triumvirate, though initially successful in restoring order, proved to be as unstable as the first. The rivalry between Octavian and Antony intensified. Octavian, based in the West, gradually consolidated his power and presented himself as the true heir to Caesar's legacy. He skillfully used propaganda and political maneuvering to undermine Antony. Antony, meanwhile, had formed a romantic and political alliance with Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt. This alliance, while strategically sound, provided ample ammunition for Octavian's propaganda machine. He portrayed Antony as a traitor, seduced by a foreign queen, and neglecting his duties to Rome. The stage was set for a final showdown between the two men. Section 8, Actium and the End of the Republic. The final conflict between Octavian and Antony culminated in the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. This naval battle, fought off the coast of Greece, proved decisive. Octavian's forces, commanded by the skilled general Marcus Agrippa, decisively defeated the combined fleets of Antony and Cleopatra. The victory at Actium marked the end of the Roman Republic. Antony and Cleopatra fled back to Egypt, where they both committed suicide. Octavian, now the undisputed master of Rome, returned to the city in triumph. He had avenged Caesar's death and secured his own position as the sole ruler of Rome. The Republic, racked by years of civil war and instability, was at an end. A new era, the Roman Empire, was about to begin. Section 9. Conclusion. The legacy of Caesar and Augustus. The assassination of Julius Caesar was a pivotal event in Roman history. It was a moment that sent shockwaves through the Roman world, altering the course of its future forever. It marked the end of the Roman Republic and paved the way for the rise of the Roman Empire. The power vacuum left by Caesar's death led to a series of conflicts and power struggles. While Caesar's assassination was meant to save the Republic, it had the opposite effect. The conspirators hoped to restore the old order, but instead they unleashed chaos and civil war. It plunged Rome into a period of civil wars and instability that ultimately led to the emergence of Augustus, Caesar's adopted son, as the first Roman emperor. Augustus, originally named Octavian, was a shrewd and strategic leader. Augustus, learning from the mistakes of his adoptive father, carefully disguised his autocratic rule under a veneer of republican restoration. He presented himself as the restorer of the Republic while consolidating his power behind the scenes. He maintained the outward forms of the Republic, such as the Senate and traditional offices, but in reality he held absolute power. This clever political maneuvering allowed him to rule unchallenged for decades. The Roman Empire, born out of the ashes of the Republic, would go on to become one of the most powerful and enduring empires in history. Its influence stretched across continents and centuries. However, the transition from Republic to Empire came at a cost. The civil wars and power struggles left deep scars on Roman society. The very ideals of liberty and shared power that had defined the Roman Republic were extinguished, replaced by the autocratic rule of an emperor. The legacy of Caesar and Augustus is a complex one, marked by both the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter in Roman history. Joan was born in Domremy, France in 1412. Life was hard. It was the 100 Years' War. England and France were fighting for control. She was a peasant girl. This meant she worked the land. Joan was a devout Christian. She prayed often. When she was 13, something extraordinary happened. Joan started hearing voices. The voices belonged to saints. They told her to save France. Joan believed her visions were real. The saints chose her for a mission. She had to convince the Dauphin Charles to be crowned king. He was the rightful heir to the throne. Joan also had to drive the English out of France. This was a huge task for a young girl, but Joan was determined to obey the voices. Her faith gave her courage. Joan knew she had to act. She was only 16. She travelled to Vaucouleurs. This was a nearby town. She met the local garrison commander, Robert de Baudricourt. She told him about her visions. Baudricourt was skeptical at first, but Joan's conviction impressed him. He eventually agreed to help her. He gave her a small escort of soldiers. Joan journeyed to Chinon. This was where the Dauphin was. It was a dangerous journey, but Joan was determined. She finally met Charles. She told him about her mission. Charles was also doubtful at first. He tested her. He disguised himself as a courtier, but Joan saw through the disguise. She recognized him instantly. This convinced Charles that she was divinely guided. The siege of Orléans was a turning point in the war. The English had besieged the city. Orléans was strategically important. If it fell, the English could control the Loire Valley. This would be a disaster for France. Joan arrived at Orléans with French troops. The soldiers were inspired by her presence. They believed she was sent by God. Joan's arrival boosted the morale of the French troops. They fought with renewed vigor. Joan herself was a fearless warrior. She rallied the troops, she led them into battle. After 9 days, the French achieved a decisive victory. The siege was lifted. This was a major victory for France. It proved Joan's divine calling. It also marked her as a skilled military leader. After Orléans, Joan's fame spread. She was hailed as a hero. She was called the Maid of Orléans. Joan continued to lead French troops to victory. She urged Charles to go to Reims. This was the traditional site of French coronations. Reims was held by the English, but Joan believed it was essential for Charles to be crowned there. The French army marched on Reims. They captured the city. On July 17, 1429, Charles was crowned King Charles VII. Joan stood by his side. She had fulfilled her mission. The prophecy was complete. This was a moment of great triumph for Joan. Her visions had come true. She had saved France, or so it seemed. Section 5. Betrayal and Capture. Joan's fall from grace. Despite her victories, danger lurked. In 1430, Joan was captured. It happened during a skirmish with Burgundian forces. The Burgundians were allies of the English. They saw Joan as a threat. They were eager to capture her. Joan's capture was a blow to the French. Charles VII seemed indifferent to her fate. He made no effort to ransom her. Joan was sold to the English. They saw her as a valuable prisoner. They wanted to make an example of her. Joan was imprisoned in Compiègne. Then she was moved to Rouen. This was the seat of English power in France. The English were determined to put Joan on trial. They wanted to discredit her. They wanted to undermine Charles VII's legitimacy. Section 6. The trial begins. Charges of heresy and witchcraft. Joan's trial began in January 1431. It was a politically motivated trial. The English wanted to use it to their advantage. The charges against Joan were serious. She was accused of heresy and witchcraft. These were capital offences. The trial was held in Rouen. It was presided over by Bishop Pierre Cauchon. He was a pro-English cleric. The trial was a kangaroo court. Joan was interrogated relentlessly. She was denied legal counsel. The questions were designed to trap her. They focused on her visions. They wanted her to admit they were demonic. Joan remained defiant. She insisted her voices were from God. She refused to recant her claims. This only fueled the accusations against her. Section 7. A question of faith and fashion. The charges of cross-dressing. The charges against Joan were not just about religion. They also focused on her attire. Joan wore men's clothing. This was a major point of contention. During the trial, Joan defended her choice of clothing. She argued it was practical for a soldier. She also claimed it was a symbol of her divine mission. However, her explanations fell on deaf ears. In the 15th century, cross-dressing was considered taboo. It was seen as a transgression against God's natural order. The church had strict rules against it. Joan's insistence on wearing men's clothing was used against her. It was presented as evidence of her heresy. It reinforced the image of her as a heretic and a threat to societal norms. The trial transcripts reveal the judge's obsession with Joan's attire. They interrogated her repeatedly about it. This highlights the significance of clothing in medieval society. It also shows how it could be used to control and punish individuals, especially women. Section 8. Condemned by the Church, remembered by France. Despite a lack of evidence, Joan was found guilty. She was condemned as a heretic. This verdict was a foregone conclusion. Her fate was sealed. On May 30th, 1431, Joan was taken to the old marketplace in Rouen. A large crowd gathered to witness the execution. Joan was tied to a stake. A pyre of wood was piled around her. As the flames rose, Joan prayed. She maintained her innocence until the very end. Her death shocked many. It sparked outrage and resentment towards the English. Joan's execution backfired on her accusers. Instead of discrediting her, it made her a martyr. Her story spread. She became a symbol of French resistance. Section 9. Vindication and Sainthood. Joan of Arc's enduring legacy. Years later, Joan's case was reviewed. In 1455, Pope Calixtus III ordered a new trial. This time, Joan was exonerated. The charges against her were declared unjust. She was cleared of all wrongdoing. Joan's name was finally cleared, but her legacy continued to evolve. In 1920, she was canonized by the Catholic Church. She became St. Joan of Arc. Today, Joan of Arc is a national heroine in France. She is a symbol of courage, faith, and unwavering spirit. Her story continues to inspire people around the world. Joan's life was short but impactful. She left an indelible mark on history. She's remembered as a young woman who dared to challenge authority and fight for her beliefs. Her legacy continues to be debated and celebrated centuries later. Here are the most epic origin stories in history. It's the year 304 BC and the Moran Empire is welcoming a new royal child. Lovingly held by his mother, he's given the name Ashoka. The emperor, a man named Bindusara, stands near and gazes at this newborn. In this son, he sees a future of, not much really. See, the emperor already has another son named Tsushima, born from another one of his wives, and he's actually his choice to become his heir. To add to this, Ashoka's mom was a commoner. Whoops! I mean, how did that happen? Well, Tsushima was a noble, so yeah, case closed here, but Ashoka is still a royal son and he's given a royal upbringing. Time passes, Ashoka grows up, and boy, he does look like he's turning out to be a huge disappointment. He's short, kind of fat, and is suffering some sort of weird skin condition which grosses his father out. Though he had already made up his mind that Tsushima was his guy, now he's certain Ashoka is just way too ugly to be emperor. I mean, come on, look at him. But what Ashoka lacked in looks, he made up for in charisma and intelligence. And like most kids who know they're not the favorite, he grows to have a huge chip on his shoulder. He's schooled in all the things a royal son should learn, and once he's of age, his father begins to send him out to govern parts of his kingdom and to quell rebellions. Ashoka's first assignment was to govern the area of Uan, where he proved to be a master of governmental policy. And later he was put in charge of quelling rebellions in Taxila, where he demonstrates a natural ability to command a military. It becomes obvious that Ashoka is talented enough to rule the empire, and this doesn't go unnoticed by the emperor's ministers. They try to tell the emperor, but their opinions don't really matter because Bindusara had already made up his mind. Tsushima was to be his heir. But in 273 BCE, the emperor falls ill and is quickly on his deathbed. Tsushima is off fighting a rebellion, so he sends for him to return home quickly so he can be crowned emperor. But by this point in time, the ministers have decided they like Ashoka way better. They think Tsushima is a spoiled brat and they've watched Ashoka kill it both governing and on the battlefield. So they lie to the emperor and say that Ashoka's sick and can't go, and that maybe he should just make Ashoka the emperor temporarily while he's waiting for Tsushima to return. The emperor is like, "Did I stutter?" At which point legend says Ashoka proclaims, "If the throne is rightfully mine, the gods will crown me as the next emperor." And just like that, Bindusara dies instantly and Ashoka is made emperor. How convenient. When Tsushima returns back to the capital, he's led by the ministers into a trap and falls into a pit of charcoal and dies an agonizing death. Ashoka then goes off and kills every single one of his other brothers, except one he kind of liked to ensure he would have no competition. And so in 268 BCE, Ashoka is crowned emperor. He quickly proves all of his father's ministers were completely wrong and becomes an unhinged tyrant who rules with fear and terror. His atrocities are too many to list, but here are some of his greatest hits. He once gave his ministers the impossible task to cut down every flowering or fruiting tree, and when they failed, he chopped off all their heads himself. Oh my God, we should have totally gone with Tsushima. This other time, while walking through a park with his concubines, he sees a beautiful Ashoka tree, which puts him in the mood for some afternoon delight. The concubines are so grossed out having to touch his gross skin that as soon as Ashoka fell asleep, they go and chop all the flowers off the tree to make sure it won't happen again, which I find hilarious. But when Ashoka wakes up and finds out what they did, he has them all burned to death. And perhaps as piece de resistance, he constructed a beautiful palace which he then fills with the most evil torture devices imaginable. Burning pits, fire chambers, molten metal for pouring down throats, spiked walls and ceilings for impaling, rotating blades for chopping off body parts, and iron hooks for hanging were all said to be found within the walls of this palace that's given the name Ashoka's Hell. No one who enters the palace ever comes out alive. It did evidently have a beautiful garden in front of it, though. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, why are you even talking about this psychopath anyway? Well, it's because, believe it or not, he's often referred to today as Ashoka the Great, one of the greatest and most beloved rulers in the history of India. And his redemption arc begins in 262 BCE. Ashoka has dreams of surpassing his grandfather and father, who had successfully grown the Mauryan Empire to encompass nearly the entire Indian subcontinent, modern-day Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. For his first conquest, he sets his sights on the kingdom of Kalinga, an unconquered area located on the eastern coast of India that his grandfather had once tried to take but failed. The Kalinga were a proudly independent people who had wealth, trading ports, and a well-trained military, and defeating them would be a great first step to show he'd surpassed his forefathers. So Ashoka takes an army of 600,000 infantry, 30,000 cavalry, and 9,000 war elephants and attacks Kalinga with the entire might of the Mauryan Empire. The Kalinga, though heavily outnumbered, refused to surrender and fight bravely to the end in a desperate but ultimately failed attempt to defend their homeland. The war does not last long, but is literal hell on earth, and the death and destruction are at levels unseen until World War II. The Mauryans win the war, but at a heavy cost, and when Ashoka goes to the battlefield to bask in his greatness, he's instead horrified by what he sees. The bodies of over 100,000 dead Kalinga soldiers litter the ground. Every step he takes is into a pool of festering blood. The stench of rotting flesh is unbearable, and the swarm of flies feasting on the corpses is deafening. He sees women, young and old, searching for their husbands, their fathers, and their children amongst the rotting bodies. Some are unlucky enough to find their loved ones, and their howling cries burn Ashoka's ears. He was not the first nor the last ruler to be confronted by the harsh realities of war, but in this moment he's perhaps one of the few rulers in history who was filled with a deep sense of remorse. Was this the greatness he was seeking? Ashoka leaves the battlefield a changed man. He will no longer seek glory through war, and he invests himself wholly in the study of Buddhism. He begins to erect pillars throughout his kingdom with edicts on how he wishes for his people to live peacefully with respect for one another, no matter their cultural or religious background. For the rest of his reign, he goes on no further conquests. His only goal was peace and the betterment of the lives of everyone living within his empire. He begins to use the empire's treasury to erect shelters for travelers, plant fruit-bearing trees along the main roads to feed the needy, and digs irrigation systems to provide clean water for everyone. Through his efforts, Maurya grows prosperous and enjoys peace that lasts for decades. He funds Buddhist missions out of India in an attempt to foster world peace, and his effort spreads the philosophy throughout Asia. When India regained its independence from British rule in 1947, Ashoka's chakra was chosen as the central icon of the country's flag. It's 600 BCE, and a king named Astyages is lying awake in bed, troubled by a strange dream. In his vision, he saw an ocean of water flowing from his daughter that swept through not only his kingdom of Media, but flooded all of Asia as well. The next morning, he's still troubled by this dream, and he seeks counsel from his magi, whose interpretation chills him to the bone. The dream was an omen that the offspring of his daughter would one day challenge him for the rule of his empire. To prevent this, he quickly marries her off to a mild-mannered Persian king named Cambyses the First. Ain't no way any great conqueror is going to come from Persia. But just a year after the marriage, Astyages has another dream. This time his daughter stands before him, and vines suddenly begin to grow from her back. The vines grow so large that they entangle all of Asia. Astyages is again freaked out, and again he goes to see his magi, who confirms his worst fears. The son of his daughter will dethrone him and go on to rule an empire that stretches to the four corners of the world. The words of his magi scare the crap out of Astyages, and he decides then and there that he'll do everything he can to ensure this prophecy never comes true. But before he can even think of a plan, his daughter becomes pregnant and gives birth to a boy. Astyages orders his most trusted general, a man named Harpagus, to immediately travel to Persia and kill the child. Loyal to his king, the general makes the journey, rips the infant from the hands of its mother, and walks away as she begs for him to stop. Harpagus carries the baby out of the city, but as he looks down at the newborn, he finds he just doesn't have it in him to take the life of an infant, so instead he gives the baby to a shepherd and tells him to go leave it in the woods to die. As ordered, the shepherd takes the baby and carries it off into the woods, but unknown to Harpagus, the wife of the shepherd had just given birth to a stillborn child. As he walks into the woods, he stares into the eyes of the infant, and he can't help but to think of his own child and what could have been. The shepherd decides to disobey Harpagus and brings the baby home, and he and his wife decide to secretly raise him as their own. They name the boy Agradates, and the shepherd buries their own stillborn son and gives Harpagus the location of the body. As far as everyone else knows, the matter is settled. The royal infant is dead. So Agradates is raised in the countryside, away from the royal family, completely unaware of his lineage, and he grows into a strong, charismatic boy. One day at the age of 10, he's playing with some other kids, and in their game, he gets named the king. As king, he orders around the other boys, and they all play along, except this one kid who was the son of a Median noble. When the kid refuses to listen, Agradates orders the other boys to rough him up, to teach him a lesson for not listening to their king. The noble boy goes home crying and tells on Agradates, and the boy's dad can't stand the injustice, and he immediately goes to Astyages to complain to get this shepherd boy punished. Agradates and his shepherd father are brought to the throne room in Media, and at first look Astyages is immediately suspicious. This boy looks exactly like him and is the same age his dead grandson would be, and on top of all this, he speaks and conducts himself with class far above a commoner. He turns to the shepherd and demands the truth. Who is this boy? The shepherd defends that this is his son until Astyages threatens him with severe punishment if he's lying, at which point he reveals everything. The king is furious, not so much at the shepherd, but at his most trusted general who had failed him. Harpagus is summoned to the throne room, and as he enters, he sees the shepherd and the boy, and immediately knows he's fed. Harpagus knows there's no use in lying, so he tells the truth. But surprisingly, the king seems to keep his cool. He tells Harpagus that he had often felt bad about, killing his grandson, and he's actually somewhat relieved that he's still alive. Tell you what, let's celebrate his return tonight. Come back later and, could you please send your 13-year-old son a little earlier so my grandson will have a companion. Harpagus is relieved and goes home and tells his wife and kid what's going on. He sends his son to the palace early, not thinking anything of it, and starts to get freshened up for the feast. When his son arrives at the palace, Astyages orders his soldiers to kill him and chop him into pieces. Some parts of the boy are then roasted and other parts are boiled. These cooked pieces of human flesh were then placed on silver platters for later in the evening. At the royal feast, Harpagus is seated with other nobles and mutton is served to everyone. Harpagus's mutton looks a little different, but the king seems to be in a good mood, so they all eat up. Once everyone's stuffed, Astyages asks Harpagus for a little help. He calls for his attendants, who bring in a basket and places it directly in front of Harpagus. He orders him to lift the basket. Hesitantly, he follows the king's commands and is horrified to see the head and hands of his son. Astyages, with an evil grin, then asks Harpagus if he enjoyed his meal. A little gamey, perhaps? Harpagus comes to the sickening realization that he had just eaten his own son for dinner. Against all odds, he maintains his composure and simply states, "Whatever my king does pleases me." He asks to keep the remains of his son, which he calmly takes and buries at home. But secretly, he never forgives the king and will spend the rest of his life plotting his revenge. Feeling pretty proud about the way he dealt with that not-so-bright Harpagus, Astyages now has to figure out what to do with this grandchild he had feared. I mean, he could just kill him and get it over with, but instead he seeks the counsel of his magi again, who tell him that technically the prophecy had come true. The boy had become a king in the game he was playing, so now he doesn't pose any threat. Relieved, Astyages apologizes to the boy. and sends him to be raised in Persia by his biological parents, who are both confused but also happy that their son they thought was dead for 10 years is somehow still alive. They rename him Cyrus II after his Persian grandfather. Well, in Persia, Cyrus grows to be a strong and capable leader, and when Cambyses passes away, he assumes the throne and begins setting his sights on larger conquests. He soon realizes that the greatness he desires will be impossible if he's still under the thumb of his grandfather, and he begins plotting ways to regain Persia's independence. Back in Media, Harpagus gets wind that Cyrus may have higher ambitions, and he sends him a secret message. In his letter, he reminds Cyrus of how his grandfather wanted him killed, and that if Persia were to lead a rebellion against Media, he would turn his forces against Astyages and fight alongside him. This sounds like a pretty good deal, but Cyrus has one last problem. Persia is less of a kingdom and more of a scattering of tribes that kind of tolerate a ruler. If he wants to have any success against his grandfather, he first needs to unite these tribes to fight as a unified army. As the new ruler of Persia, he orders men from across his lands to a forest and orders them to clear it within a day. Not knowing what kind of ruler Cyrus is going to be, the men begrudgingly do so, and by the end of the day are completely exhausted. The next day, Cyrus again calls them back to the same spot. The aching men head back to the forest, thinking this Cyrus guy might need to be taken care of quickly if he keeps this up. But when they arrive, they're shocked to find Cyrus with an incredible feast laid out in the clearing. He invites them to eat, and instead of working, the men spend the whole day relaxing, drinking, and eating the most delicious food they've ever tasted. As the sun begins to set, Cyrus stands before them and says, "Persians, you have the power to shape your own future. If you follow me, you will enjoy days like today and even better ones without having to endure hard labor. But if you go against my plans, you will face hardships worse than what you experienced yesterday. I speak to you as a voice of freedom. It seems that Providence has chosen me to bring prosperity to you. You are just as capable and brave as the Medes." Knowing this, refuse to continue obeying Astyages. The men erupt into cheers. Finally, a true leader has come to save them from the tyranny of the Median Empire. With full support of all the clans in Persia, Cyrus quickly raises an army and leads an all-out assault against his grandfather's forces. Astyages orders Harpagus to command his army to defend his lands and stop this revolt. But when the two armies meet on the battlefield, Harpagus does as he promised, turns his men and begins attacking the remaining Median soldiers. His revenge against Astyages has begun. Cyrus, with the help of Harpagus, goes on to dethrone his grandfather and establishes what will be known as the Achaemenid Empire. Exactly as Astyages saw in his dreams, this new empire quickly grows, and at its peak stretches from the Mediterranean to the Indus River, the largest empire the world had ever seen to this point. And unlike his grandfather, Cyrus rules with fairness and equality. He is loved by everyone in his land throughout his reign and long after he dies, so much so that he even snags an honorable mention in the Bible for being a cool guy. The animated film captivated audiences worldwide upon its release in 2016. The film told the story of Moana, a Polynesian princess who set sail to save her people, was praised for its stunning animation, catchy music, and celebration of Polynesian culture. The film was a huge box office success, grossing over $645 million worldwide. Also earned 2 Academy Award nominations, one for Best Animated Feature and one for Best Original Song. Fans of are eagerly awaiting the release of the sequel. The sequel is set to continue the story of Moana and her adventures on the open ocean. Disney has not yet released many details about the plot of. However, the film is expected to further explore Polynesian culture and mythology. The filmmakers behind have said that they are committed to creating a film that is both entertaining and culturally respectful. They have been working closely with cultural consultants from across the Pacific Islands to ensure the accuracy of the film's depiction of Polynesian culture. Is sure to be another hit for Disney. The film is set to be released in November 2025. Maui is a central figure in Polynesian mythology. He is a demigod, meaning that he is half human and half god. Maui is known for his strength, his cunning, and his magical fishhook. Maui is a popular figure in Polynesian folklore. There are many stories about his exploits. One of the most famous stories about Maui is how he pulled up the islands of the Pacific Ocean. According to legend, Maui was fishing with his brothers one day when he felt a tug on his line. Maui pulled and pulled, and eventually he pulled up a giant fish. The fish was so big that it became the islands of the Pacific Ocean. Maui is also known for his trickery. In one story, he steals fire from the gods and gives it to humans. In another story, he slows down the sun so that the days will be longer. Maui is a complex and fascinating figure. He is both a hero and a trickster. He is a symbol of the power of nature and the ingenuity of the human spirit. Tattooing is an ancient art form that has been practiced in Polynesia for centuries. Polynesian tattoos are more than just body art. They are a form of storytelling, a way to express one's identity, and a connection to one's ancestors. Polynesian tattoos are created using hand-tapped needles and ink made from natural ingredients. The process of getting a Polynesian tattoo is long and painful. It can take months or even years to complete a full-body tattoo. The pain is seen as a test of strength and endurance. Polynesian tattoos are often very intricate and detailed. They often feature geometric patterns, animals, and symbols from Polynesian mythology. The placement of a Polynesian tattoo is also significant. Tattoos on the head and face are reserved for people of high status. Tattoos on the arms and legs often represent a person's skills and accomplishments. Polynesian tattoos are a powerful symbol of cultural identity. They are a way for Polynesian people to connect with their heritage and to express their individuality. It is more than just a sequel. It is an opportunity to further celebrate Polynesian culture and identity. The filmmakers are working hard to ensure that the film is accurate and respectful. They are consulting with cultural experts and using Polynesian actors and crew members. Will feature Polynesian music, dance, and language. The film will also explore Polynesian values such as family, community, and respect for the environment. It's sure to be a powerful and moving film that will stay with audiences long after they have seen it. The film has the potential to educate people about Polynesian culture. It can also inspire Polynesian people to embrace their heritage. It is a film that is sure to make a difference.
Siek Siti Jenar remains a figure of immense importance and controversy in Javanese Islamic history. His teachings, often seen as unorthodox and mystical, continue to spark debate and intrigue. Often referred to as a Sufi saint, his life story intertwines with the spread of Islam in Java during the 15th century. This essay delves into the life, teachings, and legacy of this enigmatic figure, exploring his profound impact on Javanese Islamic thought. Siek Siti Jenar's teachings, though deeply rooted in Islamic principles, incorporated elements of Javanese mysticism and philosophy. This fusion, while enriching for some, led to clashes with more orthodox Islamic authorities. Despite the controversies, Siek Siti Jenar's influence on Javanese culture and spirituality remains undeniable. His teachings continue to be studied and debated, a testament to his enduring legacy. Siek Siti Jenar's early life remains shrouded in mystery. Born in the mid-15th century, his exact birthplace and parentage are debated among scholars. Some accounts suggest he hailed from a noble family with ties to the ruling elite of Java. Regardless of his origins, Siek Siti Jenar received a comprehensive education in Islamic theology, philosophy, and Sufism. He immersed himself in the study of Islamic scriptures and engaged in rigorous spiritual practices. His dedication and profound insights quickly earned him recognition as a learned scholar and spiritual guide. Siek Siti Jenar emerged as a prominent figure during a pivotal era in Javanese history. Islam was rapidly spreading across the island, gradually replacing older Hindu-Buddhist beliefs. Sheikh Sidi Jenar played an active role in this transformation, preaching the tenets of Islam to the Javanese people. His teachings, however, were not merely confined to rote memorization of Islamic doctrines. Sheikh Sidi Jenar possessed a unique ability to weave together Islamic principles with Javanese cultural contexts. This syncretic approach resonated deeply with the Javanese populace, facilitating their embrace of Islam. Sheikh Sidi Jenar's growing influence and unorthodox teachings eventually brought him into conflict with the Wali Songo, the 9 revered saints credited with propagating Islam in Java. The Wali Songo, known for their adherence to established Islamic doctrines, viewed some of Sheikh Sidi Jenar's teachings as heretical and potentially dangerous. The crux of the disagreement lay in Sheikh Sidi Jenar's mystical interpretations of Islamic concepts, particularly his emphasis on the unity of being, often perceived as pantheistic. The Wali Songo, upholding the Islamic principle of Tawhid, or the oneness of God, considered such views as blurring the line between the creator and the creation. Section 5. Unveiling the 7 pillars of Jenar's teachings. Sheikh Sidi Jenar's teachings were grounded in 7 key principles. First, the oneness of God Tawhid, acknowledging the absolute unity and transcendence of God. Second, divine emanation. The universe and all beings are seen as emanations of God's attributes. Third, the primordial soul. All souls originate from a single, divine source. Fourth, the path of knowledge, marifat, emphasizing spiritual enlightenment through direct experience of the divine. Fifth, the illusion of separation, Maya, the perceived separation between the self and God is an illusion. Sixth, the importance of inner transformation. True piety lies in purifying the heart and aligning oneself with the divine will. Seventh, union with the beloved, Fana. The ultimate goal of the spiritual journey is to achieve complete annihilation of the ego and union with God. These teachings resonated deeply with those seeking a more profound and mystical understanding of Islam. Section 6. Pantheism and its discontents, the controversy explained. The most controversial aspect of Sheikh Sidi Jenar's teachings was his concept of Manunggaling Kawula Gusti, often interpreted as the union of the servant and the master. While deeply rooted in Sufi concepts of annihilation of the ego in the divine presence, this teaching sparked accusations of pantheism. Critics argued that such a view erased the distinction between God and creation, contradicting the Islamic emphasis on God's absolute transcendence. They feared it could lead to idolatry and undermine the very foundation of Islamic monotheism. Section 7. The execution of a mystic. The growing tensions between Sheikh Sidi Jenar and the Wali Songo culminated in a trial where he was accused of heresy and spreading teachings deemed dangerous to the nascent Muslim community. Despite defending his views with eloquence and passion, Sheikh Sidi Jenar was ultimately condemned. The execution of Sheikh Sidi Jenar remains a deeply debated event in Javanese history. Some accounts depict it as a politically motivated act, a way to silence a charismatic figure whose influence challenged the authority of the Wali Songo. Others view it as a tragic consequence of theological differences. Section 8. Sheikh Sidi Jenar's enduring legacy. Despite the controversies and his tragic end, Sheikh Sidi Jenar's legacy continues to resonate throughout Java. He is remembered as a courageous mystic who dared to challenge established norms and delve into the depths of spiritual experience. His teachings, passed down through generations, continue to inspire spiritual seekers. They offer a unique blend of Islamic principles and Javanese mysticism, encouraging introspection, self-purification, and the pursuit of ultimate union with the divine. Section 9. Conclusion. A mystic shrouded in time. Sheikh Sidi Jenar's life and teachings offer a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of religious thought and the challenges of reconciling diverse spiritual perspectives. He remains a figure of enduring fascination, a mystic whose life and death continue to spark debate and inspire spiritual reflection. Whether revered as a saint or condemned as a heretic, Sheikh Sidi Jenar's impact on Javanese Islam is undeniable. His legacy serves as a potent reminder of the enduring power of spiritual seeking and the timeless human quest for meaning and connection with the divine.
The story of how modern-day democracies began. 8,000 years ago, ancient Greeks created the world's first democracy, influencing our modern political systems around the world. Ancient Greece gave birth to democratic governance, which profoundly impacted how we conduct politics today. In this video, we will explore the origins of democracy, how it developed, how it has continued to shape our world, even after thousands of years. So let's get started. First off, let us talk about how the ancient Greeks pioneered the idea that people should have a say in how they are governed. Back in ancient Athens, the birthplace of Western civilization, they came up with the concept of democracy around 8 other elite class who had more power than everyone else. But Athenian democracy was different. It was based on the idea that citizens should have the power to participate directly in government. This meant that ordinary people like you and me could vote on laws and policies that affected our lives. Instead of having a small group of aristocrats make decisions for everyone else. And guess what? It worked. Athens became one of the most prosperous and influential city-states in ancient Greece because its citizens were so engaged in their government. Now you might be wondering why the Greeks came up with this idea in the first place. Well, there are a few theories. Some scholars think that the Greeks were inspired by the Roman Republic, which was founded on the principle of representative democracy. Others think that they developed their own form of democracy independently, because it was simply the best way to govern a city-state. Whatever the reason, the Greeks realized that when citizens are involved in government, everyone benefits, including the leaders. When citizens are engaged in government, leaders can't abuse their power without being held accountable. That's because in a democracy, leaders are elected by the people and serve at their pleasure. If a leader starts acting in a way that doesn't benefit the people, they risk being voted out of office. As a result, leaders in a democracy are incentivized to act in the best interests of their constituents. Of course, this doesn't mean that democracies are perfect and that all leaders are ethical. But it does mean that democracies are better equipped to hold leaders accountable and prevent abuses of power than other forms of government. Now that we understand why the Greeks developed democracy, let's take a closer look at how it worked in practice. So how did the ancient Greeks put this radical new form of government into practice? Well, they created a system of directed democracy in which all eligible citizens could participate directly in making laws and policies. This meant that citizens could vote on laws and policies directly rather than electing representatives to do it for them. This was made possible by the fact that Athens was a small city-state with a relatively homogeneous population. Most of the people who lived in Athens were free adult males who owned property and were considered citizens. Women, slaves, and foreigners were not considered citizens and therefore could not participate in politics. However, for the time period, this was pretty inclusive. For example, women in ancient Rome did not have the right to vote until the early 20th century. And slavery was not abolished in the United States until the 19th century. So while Athenian democracy was not perfect, it was still a step in the right direction. Now let's talk about the role of the assembly in ancient Athenian democracy. The assembly was a gathering of all eligible male citizens, in which they came together to discuss and vote on laws and policies that affected their city-state. Every male citizen could attend the assembly and participate in debates. They could also propose new laws and vote on whether to go to war or make peace with other states. The assembly was the heart of Athenian democracy, because it was where citizens could come together and make their voices heard. The assembly met regularly in a large open space called the Agora, which is now known as the Nix. The assembly was open to all male citizens, and any citizen could speak at the assembly if he had something to say. This meant that even the poorest or most uneducated citizen could participate in the political process and influence the decisions that affected his life. In addition, Athens had a system of magistrates who were responsible for enforcing the laws and policies that were decided on by the assembly. These magistrates were elected by the citizens and served one-year terms in office. This helped to ensure that the government was responsive to the needs of the people and that no one person or family had too much power. The ancient Greeks were so proud of their democratic system that they even created a festival called the Panathenaea in honor of Athena, the goddess of democracy. The Panathenaea was a celebration of democracy and a way to educate young Athenians about their civic duty to participate in government. During the festival, a young boy would be selected to represent each tribe of the 10 tribes of ancient Athens, and they would march in procession carrying olive branches and other symbols of peace and unity. This symbolized the importance of civic duty and the need for all Athenians to work together for the common good. So how did ancient Greek democracy shape our world today? Well, it turns out that the ancient Greeks were onto something. Their ideas about democracy and civic engagement continue to inspire people around the world today. In fact, many of the democratic ideals that we hold dear today can be traced back to ancient Greece. For example, the idea that all people are equal and should have a say in government, the importance of civic duty, and the need for government to be accountable to the people. All of these ideas can be found in the writings of ancient Greek philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. They argued that democracy was not only the best form of government, but also the best way to live. They believed that democracy fostered individual freedom and allowed people to reach their full potential. They also believed that democracy was the best way to ensure justice and equality for all people. Another way that ancient Greek democracy shaped our world is through the development of political parties and elections. In ancient Athens, citizens would gather in groups called parties to discuss political issues and candidates. They would then vote for the candidates they wanted to see in government. This system of political parties and elections is still used today to choose leaders and make decisions in many countries around the world. Today, ancient Greek democracy continues to inspire people around the world to fight for greater political inclusion and representation. For example, the Arab Spring uprisings of 2010 and 2011 were in part inspired by the ideals of ancient Greek democracy. The protesters in Egypt, Libya, and Tunisia called for greater democracy and accountability from their governments. They were also inspired by the ancient Greeks' belief that all people are equal and should have a say in government. In conclusion, ancient Greek democracy was a groundbreaking innovation that changed the course of history. Its influence can be seen in the political systems of many countries around the world today. From the United States to Greece, France, India, South Africa, and beyond. The principles of democracy continue to inspire people to demand greater political inclusion and representation. The ancient Greeks' belief in the power of the people to shape their own destiny remains a powerful ideal that can help us overcome some of the biggest challenges facing our world today. So let us continue to build on the legacy of ancient Greek democracy and work towards a world that is more just, equitable, and democratic for all. Alright guys, that's a wrap on this episode. We hope you enjoyed learning about the ancient Greeks and their contributions to our world. If you want to keep the learning, fun, and games going, be sure to check out our website. You can play games, take quizzes, and explore more historical civilizations. We've got something for everyone. So head on over to our website and let the learning continue. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Every year, as the clock strikes midnight on December 31st, people around the world raise a glass to the new year. Many use this fresh start as a chance to set goals for themselves. These are called New Year's resolutions. This tradition of making resolutions might seem modern, but it actually has roots that stretch back thousands of years. Long before our time, ancient civilizations had their own ways of marking the new year. These ancient practices were about more than just celebration. They were about renewal and hope for the future. The ancient Babylonians, known for their advancements in mathematics and astronomy, were among the first to celebrate the new year. Their festivities were deeply connected to the cycles of nature, particularly the spring equinox. This marked a time for new beginnings in agriculture, a vital part of their lives. The Babylonians believed that a successful year depended on the favor of the gods. To ensure this favor, they held grand festivals filled with rituals and promises of good behavior. These festivals weren't just about asking for a good year, they were also a time to reflect on the past. Babylonians would ask for forgiveness for their wrongdoings and promise to do better in the coming year. This concept of reflecting on the past and striving for improvement in the future is a core element of New Year's resolutions, even today. The Babylonian tradition of New Year celebrations didn't stay confined to Mesopotamia. As centuries passed and empires rose and fell, the idea of marking the new year with rituals and resolutions spread to other parts of the ancient world. The Romans, known for their structured society and grand celebrations, adopted and adapted these traditions. While they continued to hold festivals and offer sacrifices to their gods, they also incorporated practical elements into their New Year practices. For the Romans, the New Year wasn't just a time for spiritual reflection, it was also a time for a fresh start in their daily lives. This involved cleaning their homes, settling debts, and returning borrowed items. It was a way of clearing out the old and making space for the new. This emphasis on tangible actions alongside spiritual reflection further shaped the evolution of New Year's traditions. The Romans dedicated their New Year celebrations to Janus, the god of beginnings and endings. Janus, often depicted with two faces looking in opposite directions, symbolized the duality of looking back at the past and forward to the future. This perfectly captured the spirit of the new year, a time for reflection and anticipation. The Roman association of Janus with the new year solidified the connection between this time period and the concepts of transition and new beginnings. As Christianity spread throughout the Roman Empire and beyond, it had a profound impact on many cultural traditions, including New Year's celebrations. The holiday shifted from a time of raucous revelry to a more subdued occasion for reflection and spiritual renewal. This shift in focus was particularly evident in colonial America, where the Puritan influence led to a strong emphasis on introspection and moral improvement. The Puritans, known for their strict religious beliefs, saw the new year as an opportunity to examine their lives and recommit themselves to God. They held special church services and engaged in private prayer and self-reflection. Their resolutions focused on strengthening their faith, resisting temptation, and living a more righteous life. This approach to the new year contributed to the development of resolutions as a means of personal growth and self-improvement. Jonathan Edwards, a prominent theologian and philosopher of the time, exemplified this introspective approach. He meticulously documented his resolutions, which covered a wide range of personal and spiritual goals. Edwards's resolutions, like those of many Puritans, reveal a deep desire to live a life of purpose and align their actions with their faith. This emphasis on introspection and moral betterment has continued to influence the way we approach New Year's resolutions today. Even though New Year's resolutions have evolved over centuries, the core motivation behind them remains the same: the desire for self-improvement and a fresh start. Whether it's a desire to be healthier, learn a new skill, or strengthen relationships, resolutions represent our hopes and aspirations for the future. But why do we choose the new year as the starting point for these endeavors? The new year, with its clean slate symbolism, provides a powerful psychological cue for change. It's a time when we naturally reflect on the past and look ahead to the future, making it an ideal time to set intentions for personal growth. However, despite our best intentions, many of us struggle to keep our resolutions. Research suggests that only a small percentage of people successfully follow through with their resolutions throughout the year. The key to making resolutions that stick lies in setting realistic goals, breaking them down into smaller steps, and establishing systems of accountability. Instead of aiming for drastic overnight transformations, focus on making gradual, sustainable changes. Celebrate small victories along the way, and don't be afraid to adjust your approach as needed. Remember, the journey of self-improvement is ongoing, and every step, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. G'day mates, let's talk about Australia, a land of sunshine, deserts and some seriously strange animals. This vast and diverse country is known for its unique wildlife, stunning landscapes and rich cultural heritage. From the bustling cities to the remote outback, Australia offers a little bit of everything for everyone. Whether you're an adventurer, a nature lover, or just someone looking to explore new horizons, Australia has something to offer. But today we're diving into one of the quirkiest chapters of Australian history. You've got your kangaroos hopping around, koalas hugging trees, and let's not forget the wombats and platypuses. These creatures are iconic symbols of Australia, each with their own unique charm and characteristics there. But then there's the emu. The emu is a bird that stands out not just because of its size, but also because of its curious nature and the role it played in a rather unusual historical event. These big, flightless birds are taller than your dad and roam around like they own the place. Emus are the second largest living birds by height, right after their relatives, the ostriches. They can run at speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour and have a unique way of interacting with their environment. With their long necks and powerful legs, emus are truly fascinating creatures, but their story doesn't end with just being interesting birds. They have a history that is both amusing and perplexing. Back in the 1930s, they became Australia's most unexpected enemy. During this time, Australia was facing the Great Depression, and many soldiers who had returned from World War I were given land to farm. However, these new farmers faced numerous challenges, including droughts, poor soil, and, unexpectedly, emus. The emus migrated from the inland regions to the coast in search of food and water, and they found the newly established wheat farms to be a perfect feeding ground. This is the story of the Emu War, a true tale of farmers, soldiers, and some very stubborn birds. The farmers, desperate to protect their crops, sought help from the government, which sent soldiers armed with machine guns to deal with the emu problem. What followed was a series of events that seemed almost too bizarre to be true. Despite their best efforts, the soldiers found it incredibly difficult to outsmart and outmaneuver the emus. The birds proved to be surprisingly resilient and elusive, leading to a drawn-out and somewhat comical conflict. It's a story for anyone who's ever wondered how things can go so hilariously wrong. The Emu War is a perfect example of how nature can sometimes outwit human ingenuity. It's a tale that has been passed down through generations, often with a chuckle and a shake of the head. So, next time you see an emu, remember that these birds once took on the might of the Australian military and, in many ways, came out on top. It's a quirky, endearing chapter of history that reminds us of the unpredictable and often humorous side of life. Picture this, 1920s Australia, World War I is over and Aussie soldiers are coming home. The government promises them land to become farmers. These guys were tough, they'd seen it all. But farming, turns out, that was a whole new battle. The land was tough and things were about to get even tougher thanks to some feathered foes. At first things seemed okay, then farmers started noticing their crops disappearing. Something was eating their wheat and barley, and then they saw them. Huge flocks of emus, hundreds of them, gobbling down everything in sight. These emus were relentless, like feathered locusts, and the farmers were getting desperate. The farmers cried out for help, and the government, maybe a little too enthusiastic, declared war on the emus. Yes, you heard that right. War on emus. The army showed up with machine guns ready for Australia's most bizarre battle. Now, these soldiers were war veterans, and they must have been wondering what they'd gotten themselves into. They had faced many challenges in their military careers, but nothing could have prepared them for this bizarre mission. Sent to Western Australia to deal with a massive emu infestation, they were armed with machine guns and a sense of duty. However, the emus were not your typical adversaries. These large, flightless birds were fast, agile, and surprisingly clever. The soldiers quickly realized that this was not going to be a straightforward operation. The first battle was a disaster. The soldiers set up their positions, ready to take down the emus, but as soon as they opened fire, chaos ensued. The emus scattered in all directions, making it nearly impossible to aim. The soldiers found themselves retreating in disarray, unable to keep up with the swift birds. It was a scene of utter confusion and frustration. The military operation, which was supposed to be a quick and decisive victory, turned into a humiliating debacle. They tried to shoot the emus, but the birds were surprisingly quick and dodged the bullets. The machine guns jammed. The soldiers struggled with their equipment, which seemed to malfunction at the worst possible moments. The emus, on the other hand, seemed almost to mock the soldiers with their agility and speed. It was as if the birds knew exactly how to evade capture. The soldiers' frustration grew with each failed attempt, and the emus continued to roam freely, causing havoc in the farmlands. Newspapers were filled with stories of emu victories, laughing at the army's defeat. Headlines screamed of the military's inability to handle a bunch of birds, and the public couldn't get enough of the absurdity. The press had a field day, publishing cartoons and satirical pieces that poked fun at the soldiers' misadventures. The Emu War had become a national joke, and the soldiers' efforts were ridiculed far and wide. It was a public relations nightmare for the military, and the soldiers could only watch as their reputations were tarnished by the relentless media coverage. The Emu War had become a comedy show. People gathered in parks and public spaces to reenact the battles, laughing at the sheer absurdity of it all. The soldiers, once seen as heroes, were now the butt of jokes. The emus, on the other hand, were celebrated as unlikely victors. The whole episode had taken on a life of its own, becoming a symbol of the unpredictability of life and the folly of human endeavors. The Emu War, though a failure in military terms, had succeeded in capturing the imagination of the public, turning a serious problem into a source of endless amusement. The Emu War went on for a few weeks. The soldiers did kill some emus, but the birds were mostly winning. The government, realizing how silly the whole thing was, called off the war. The soldiers went home, and the emus, fat and happy, kept on roaming. The emus had won. The Emu War might seem like a joke, but it taught us something important about emus. These birds are tough survivors, perfectly suited to Australia. They eat plants and bugs, and they help spread seeds, which is good for the environment. They're an important part of nature's balance. Emus are more than just birds in Australia. They're part of the country's story. Aboriginal Australians have always respected the emu, and you can even see them in the stars. Today, the emu is right there with the kangaroo on Australia's coat of arms. They're a symbol of Australia's unique animals and tough spirit. The Emu War might have been a military mess, but it's a funny story that Australians love to tell. It all started in 1932 when farmers in Western Australia were struggling with an overpopulation of emus. These large, flightless birds were destroying crops and causing havoc. The government decided to take action and sent soldiers armed with machine guns to deal with the problem. What followed was a series of comical and chaotic events that have since become legendary. Despite their best efforts, the soldiers found it nearly impossible to outsmart the emus. The birds were fast, agile, and surprisingly resilient. They would scatter at the sound of gunfire, making it difficult for the soldiers to hit their targets. The emus seemed to have an uncanny ability to evade capture, and the soldiers quickly realized they were in over their heads. The operation, which was supposed to be a quick fix, turned into a drawn-out battle that the emus ultimately won. It reminds us that nature is powerful, and even the best plans can be ruined by a bunch of determined emus. The Emu War is a humorous reminder of the unpredictability of life and the resilience of nature. It's a story that has been passed down through generations, often with a chuckle and a sense of pride in the emu's victory. So next time you see an emu, remember its quirky charm and tough spirit. These birds, once considered pests, have become a symbol of tenacity and the unexpected twists of history. These birds, once Australia's unlikely enemies, have earned their place in history. Today, the Emu War is commemorated with various emu-themed attractions and historical markers. It's a tale that continues to bring laughter and lessons to those who hear it. The legacy of the Emu War is a testament to the enduring power of storytelling and the unique ways in which history can unfold. Whether you're an Australian or just a visitor, the story of the Emu War is sure to leave a lasting impression. Valentine's Day, celebrated each year on February 14th, is a day filled with hearts, flowers, and declarations of love. But behind the chocolates and romantic gestures lies a history shrouded in mystery. The truth about Saint Valentine, the figure who gives the day its name, remains elusive. Several saints named Valentine are recognized by the Catholic Church, their stories intertwined and difficult to separate. This ambiguity only adds to the intrigue surrounding the holiday's origins. One legend speaks of a Roman priest named Valentine who lived during the 3rd century AD. This was a time of great turmoil and persecution for Christians under the rule of Emperor Claudius II Gothicus. It is within this volatile historical context that the story of Valentine's bravery and compassion unfolds. His story, passed down through generations, speaks of love that defied imperial decrees. Another legend tells of a Bishop Valentine who was known for his healing powers. He is said to have cured the daughter of his jailer, who later converted to Christianity. Despite this act of kindness, Valentine was ultimately executed for his beliefs. These tales, fragmented and often contradictory, paint a picture of a man deeply devoted to his faith. While the historical accuracy of these accounts is debatable, they provide a glimpse into the values associated with St. Valentine: compassion, courage, and unwavering faith. These virtues, though born from a religious context, have transcended their origins to become intertwined with the secular celebration of love that we know today. To understand the legend of St. Valentine, we must delve into the reign of Emperor Claudius II Gothicus. Claudius, a military leader known for his ruthlessness, faced a significant challenge, maintaining a strong and steady army. He believed that married men made poor soldiers, distracted by thoughts of their wives and families. In a controversial move, Claudius issued a decree banning marriage for young men. He reasoned that single men would be more eager to join and remain in his legions. This edict, a direct attack on the sanctity of marriage, was met with resistance, particularly from those who believed in the power of love and commitment. It is against this backdrop of imperial decree that the legend of Valentine's defiance takes shape. Valentine, whether priest or bishop, held steadfast to his beliefs, including the sanctity of marriage. He continued to perform marriage ceremonies in secret, defying the emperor's ban. Couples desperate to pledge their love and commitment sought out Valentine's clandestine services. His actions, courageous and compassionate, made him a symbol of love and resistance against tyranny. Valentine's defiance, however, came at a heavy price. Adding another layer of intrigue to the story of Valentine's Day is its possible connection to Lupercalia, an ancient Roman festival celebrated on February 15th. This pagan festival, dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of fertility, was a time for purification and renewal. One of the rituals involved sacrificing animals and using their hides to whip young people, which was believed to promote fertility. Another custom involved a matchmaking lottery, where young men would draw the names of women from a jar, pairing up for the duration of the festival, sometimes leading to marriage. Section 5. From martyrs to romance, love in the air of the Middle Ages. While the early origins of Valentine's Day remain shrouded in mystery, it was during the Middle Ages that the holiday began its transformation into a celebration of romantic love. This shift can be attributed to several factors, including the growing popularity of courtly love and the association of February with springtime and fertility. In a time when arranged marriages were the norm, courtly love offered a more idealized and romantic view of relationships. Knights would dedicate poems and songs to their ladies, expressing their adoration and devotion. This emphasis on chivalry and romantic love found a natural fit with the legend of St. Valentine, the defender of lovers. Section 6. Chaucer's influence, a literary touch to Valentine's Day. The association between Valentine's Day and romantic love was further cemented by the works of Geoffrey Chaucer, a renowned English poet of the 14th century. In his poem Parlement of Fools, Chaucer links Valentine's Day with the mating of birds, writing, "For this was on St. Valentinus Day, when every fowl cometh there to chase his make." This evocative imagery of birds choosing their mates on Valentine's Day helped solidify the holiday's connection to romantic love. Chaucer's influence extended beyond literary circles, shaping popular perceptions of Valentine's Day and contributing to its growing association with courtship and romance. Section 7. From paper hearts to mass production, the rise of Valentine's greetings. The tradition of exchanging Valentine's greetings dates back to the Middle Ages, with handwritten letters and poems expressing affection. However, it was in the 19th century that the practice truly flourished, thanks in part to advances in printing technology and the establishment of a postal service. Esther A. Howland, an American entrepreneur, played a pivotal role in popularizing Valentine's Day cards. Inspired by an English Valentine, she began creating and selling her own elaborate cards, adorned with lace, ribbons, and romantic verses. Howland's success paved the way for the mass production of Valentine's Day cards, transforming the holiday into a commercial success. Section 8. Cupid's evolution from god to cherubic messenger. No discussion of Valentine's Day would be complete without mentioning Cupid, the Roman god of love. Often depicted as a winged child armed with a bow and arrows, Cupid has become synonymous with the holiday, representing romantic desire and affection. Interestingly, Cupid's origins can be traced back to the Greek god Eros, a primordial deity associated with love, beauty, and desire. Over time, the image of Eros evolved from a powerful god to a more playful and mischievous figure, eventually becoming the chubby cherubic Cupid we know today. Section 9. A global celebration, Valentine's Day in the modern world. Today, Valentine's Day is celebrated worldwide, transcending cultural and religious boundaries. It is a day for expressing love and appreciation for partners, friends, and family members. From romantic dinners to heartfelt gifts, people find various ways to make their loved ones feel special. The commercial aspect of the holiday is undeniable, with billions of dollars spent annually on flowers, chocolates, jewelry, and other tokens of affection. Despite its commercialization, Valentine's Day continues to hold a special place in the hearts of many, serving as a reminder to cherish the important relationships in our lives.
In the annals of history, few conflicts have had an impact as profound and enduring as the Persian Wars. This epic clash between the mighty Persian Empire and the resilient Greeks not only shaped the course of ancient Greece, but also left an indelible mark on the course of Western civilization. So let's dive into this channel and explore how the Persian Wars sparked what can only be called the Golden Age of Greece. But before we begin, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our upcoming videos. Now let's get back to the Golden Age of Greece, solidifying Greek identity. The Persian Wars and the rise of a cultural renaissance. The Persian Wars were a pivotal moment for the ancient Greeks. These conflicts solidified their identity, forging a sense of unity and independence that would echo through the ages. In the face of the vast and formidable Persian Empire, the Greeks rallied together, drawing strength from their shared cultural bonds and unwavering commitment to freedom. This confrontation not only shaped the political landscape of the ancient world, but also served as a catalyst for a cultural renaissance that would define classical Greece. The seeds of Greek identity had been sown long before the Persian armies set their sights on the Aegean. From the rugged shores of the Peloponnese to the vibrant city-states of Ionia, the Greeks had developed a distinct culture rooted in the values of democracy, courage, and civic duty. But it was the looming threat of Persian domination that truly galvanized them into a cohesive whole. As the dust settled on Marathon, Salamis, and Plataea, the Greek identity was forged in the fires of adversity. Their victory over the Persians became a defining chapter in their collective memory, a testament to their ability to stand up for their beliefs and protect their way of life. This victory not only established Greek autonomy, but also laid the foundation for a cultural awakening that would illuminate the path to classical Greece. Values of democracy. Championed and forged in the crucible of war, the Persian Wars were more than just a military conflict. They were a battle for fundamental values, a clash between two opposing visions of governance. The Greeks, with their nascent ideals of democracy and self-rule, stood in defiance of the autocratic Persian Empire. It was in this crucible of war that the value of democracy was not only championed, but forged in the fires of adversity. The threat posed by the Persians underscored the importance of defending not just land and resources, but also the very essence of their political system. The Athenian statesman Themistocles understood this well. When he rallied his fellow citizens to prepare for the Persian invasion, he recognized that victory would not come through sheer military might, but through harnessing the collective power of the people. The Athenian navy, with its citizen soldiers at the helm, became a symbol of democratic resilience, culminating in the pivotal Battle of Salamis. There, amidst the clash of arms and the rattle of oars, the Greeks, led by Athens, thwarted the Persian invasion, securing not just their own freedom, but also laying the groundwork for the flourishing of democracy in the classical period. Civic duty, embraced and elevated in the face of national crisis, the Persian Wars saw the Greeks confront a seemingly insurmountable challenge. A massive Persian army threatening to engulf and subjugate their way of life. In the face of this national crisis, the concept of civic duty was embraced and elevated to new heights. The Spartans, renowned for their unwavering commitment to duty, answered the call to arms, sending 700 men to aid their beleaguered allies. Leonidas and his 300 Spartans held the pass at Thermopylae, buying precious time for the Greeks to prepare. While they may have fallen in battle, their sacrifice became a potent symbol of courage and unwavering dedication to duty. Across the Greek world, citizens heeded the call, leaving their everyday pursuits to take up arms or contribute to the war effort in whatever way they could. This sense of civic responsibility was not just a product of the war, but a defining characteristic of Greek society. The war effort became a crucible, testing and refining the mettle of ordinary Greeks. showcasing their capacity for extraordinary courage and sacrifice. Cultural confidence. A flourishing of arts and philosophy inspired by victory, the Persian Wars marked a turning point for ancient Greece, setting the stage for a cultural flourishing that would define the classical period. Victory against such a formidable foe as the Persians instilled a sense of confidence and pride that resonated across every aspect of Greek life, from philosophy and literature to architecture and visual art. The Greeks began to explore their world and their place in it with renewed vigor, expressing their cultural confidence through groundbreaking achievements, intellectual exploration, a climate of inquiry and creativity fueled by success. The aftermath of the Persian Wars saw a surge in intellectual exploration across the Greek world. The victory over the Persians had not only secured their freedom, but also fostered an atmosphere of curiosity and creativity. The Greeks, emboldened by their success, began to question, analyze, and explore their world and their place in it like never before. This spirit of inquiry laid the groundwork for the philosophical revolution that would soon grip Athens. Thinkers like Thales, Anaximander, and Pythagoras delved into the mysteries of the natural world, laying the foundations of rational thought and scientific inquiry. The intellectual energy unleashed during this period marked a significant departure from the more mythological and traditional explanations that had dominated earlier periods. Artistic expression, from literature to drama, sculptures to architecture, a celebration of unity and freedom. After the Persian Wars, Greek artists found inspiration in their recent history, expressing themes of courage, unity, and the celebration of freedom. Writers like Homer composed epic poems that glorified the Greek heroes and the triumphs of their struggle against tyranny. Playwrights like Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides gave voice to the emotions and experiences of the war through powerful tragedies and dramas that explored themes of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Sculptors immortalized the heroic deeds of warriors and statesmen, creating works that not only captured their physical likeness, but also embodied the spirit of the age. Architects designed structures that soared to new heights, symbolizing the grandeur and glory of the Greek victory. The Parthenon, with its harmonious proportions and intricate details, stands as a testament to the artistic brilliance and cultural confidence of this period. Cross-cultural dialogue enriched artistic practices and themes through interaction with the East. The Persian Wars, while marking a clash between two distinct cultures, also facilitated cross-cultural dialogue and exchange. The Greeks, through their interactions with the Persians and other Eastern cultures, were exposed to new ideas, artistic motifs, and technical innovations that enriched their own artistic practices and themes. For instance, Greek artists incorporated Persian motifs, such as intricate patterns and vibrant colors, into their work, while also developing their own unique styles and iconography. This fusion of cultures is evident in various artistic forms, including pottery, sculpture, and architecture. The exchange of ideas went beyond aesthetics. The Greeks learned about new techniques in areas like mathematics and astronomy, expanding their knowledge and understanding of the world around them. This cross-cultural dialogue enriched the artistic landscape of ancient Greece, contributing to the diversity and sophistication of their creations, a legacy of resilience. Artistic depictions of Greek strength and unity. Following the Persian Wars, the Greeks found themselves at a pivotal moment in their history. The threat of external domination had been real, and the cost of freedom had been high. In the aftermath, there was a collective realization of the strength and unity that had been forged in the fires of adversity. This newfound perspective found expression in the arts, which became a powerful medium for depicting Greek resilience and solidarity. From the rugged individualism of the Hoplite warriors to the collaborative efforts of the Delian League, the Greeks recognized the value of both personal courage and collective action. Artists portrayed these ideals through sculptures and paintings that celebrated the strength and determination of the Greek people. The image of the hoplite, fully armed and ready for battle, became a symbol of Greek resilience, embodying the courage and discipline that had been instrumental in repelling the Persian invaders. At the same time, depictions of key battles like Marathon, Salamis, and Plataea served as reminders of the sacrifices made and the unity displayed by the Greek cities. These artistic representations not only documented historical events, but also instilled a sense of pride and unity among the Greeks, reinforcing the values that had been tested and strengthened during the conflict. A catalyst for philosophical inquiry. The impact of war on ethical and political thought. The Persian Wars had a profound impact on the development of philosophy in ancient Greece. The conflict, with its immense human cost and complex ethical dilemmas, served as a catalyst for deep philosophical inquiry into topics such as justice, courage, and the nature of a good life. The horrors of war and the need to defend democratic values against tyranny inspired thinkers to question traditional beliefs and explore new ways of understanding the world. Philosophers grappled with issues related to human nature, the purpose of government, and the foundations of morality. They sought to understand the origins of justice and the principles that should guide individuals and societies in times of conflict and peace. For example, philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle examined the role of courage in facing adversity, the importance of civic duty, and the responsibilities of citizenship in a democratic society. They also pondered the ethical implications of war, exploring questions about the justifications for armed conflicts and the means by which it should be conducted. The Persian Wars, with their far-reaching consequences, provided a rich context for these philosophical explorations. The Greeks struggled to defend their way of life, and their efforts to rebuild after the conflict became a case study for philosophers seeking to understand the complexities of human behavior and the challenges of creating a just and harmonious society. A testament to victory. Architecture and sculpture commemorating the Greek triumph. The Persian Wars marked a pivotal moment in ancient Greek history, a resounding victory against a formidable foe. And as the dust settled on the battlefield, the Greeks felt an overwhelming desire to commemorate their triumph and celebrate their heritage. Among the most enduring testaments to this victory stand the architectural and sculptural masterpieces that have survived the test of time. These works of art serve as tangible reminders of the courage, unity, and resilience that defined the Greek spirit. One of the most iconic symbols of Greek victory is the Parthenon, a temple dedicated to the goddess Athena on the Acropolis of Athens. Commissioned by the Athenian leader Pericles, the construction of the Parthenon was a deliberate choice to showcase the glory of Athens and the strength of the Delian League. Its harmonious proportions, detailed sculptures, and majestic presence atop the Acropolis became a symbol of Athenian power and cultural achievement. The frieze that adorned the building's exterior depicted scenes from Greek mythology, history, and daily life, serving as a visual narrative of Greek identity and values. Similarly, numerous sculptures, both in marble and bronze, were created to honor the heroes and victories of the Persian Wars. These sculptures, often displayed in prominent public spaces, served as a constant reminder of the battles fought and the sacrifices made to secure Greek freedom. Some depicted key figures from the wars, such as Miltiades, the Athenian general who led the Greek forces to victory at Marathon. Others showed scenes from pivotal battles, immortalizing the bravery and skill of the Greek warriors. A cultural renaissance. Theater flourishes. and the heroic narrative takes center stage. The aftermath of the Persian Wars witnessed a flourishing of theatre in ancient Greece, with playwrights like Sophocles and Euripides captivating audiences with their powerful narratives and timeless themes. This era marked a significant shift in the types of stories being told, with the heroic narrative taking center stage. Plays like Aeschylus's Oresteia and Sophocles' Ajax explored the complexities of human nature, the consequences of war, and the struggles of heroes grappling with their identities and destinies. These tragedies and dramas not only entertained, but also delved into the deepest recesses of the human psyche, confronting questions about fate, free will, and the nature of justice. Furthermore, the rise of satyr plays and later comedies provided a lighter counterpoint, satirizing contemporary issues and celebrating the wit and cleverness of the Greek people. The influence of the Persian Wars on this theatrical revolution was profound. The aftermath of the conflict had left an indelible mark on the Greek psyche, and playwrights drew inspiration from the themes of courage, sacrifice, and the resilience of the human spirit that had been so prominently displayed during the war. The heroic narrative became a dominant theme, with plays often revolving around the exploits of legendary figures from Greek mythology and history, such as Heracles, Theseus, and Perseus. These stories served as a way to both honor the past and explore the complexities of the present, allowing the Greeks to confront their history and grapple with the challenges of their own time, a monumental achievement. The Parthenon as a symbol of victory and cultural confidence. The Parthenon, perched atop the Acropolis in Athens, stands as a monumental achievement of ancient Greek architecture and a powerful symbol of the cultural confidence that permeated the classical period. This temple, dedicated to the goddess Athena, was not just a place of worship, but a physical embodiment of Athenian power, wisdom, and artistic mastery. The construction of the Parthenon in the mid-5th century BC, a few decades after the Persian Wars, was a deliberate choice by the Athenian statesman Pericles to showcase the glory of Athens and the strength of the Delian League. Its grandeur and magnificence were intended to impress all who beheld it, affirming Athens' position as the preeminent city in the Greek world. What sets the Parthenon apart is not only its imposing structure, but also the intricate details and sculptures that adorned it. The building's harmonious proportions and stately columns epitomized the classical style of Greek architecture, but it was the frieze that ran around the building's exterior that truly made it a masterpiece. This continuous band of sculpture depicted scenes from Greek mythology, history, and daily life, creating a visual narrative of the values, beliefs, and achievements of ancient Athens. The meticulous craftsmanship and idealized forms of the sculptures showcased technical brilliance of the artists and the cultural confidence of the age. The Parthenon represented more than just a temple. It was a celebration of the human spirit, a testament to the glories of Athenian democracy, and a symbol of the cultural renaissance that had followed the Persian Wars, a lasting legacy. The enduring impact of the Persian Wars on art and culture. The Persian Wars stand as a pivotal moment in ancient Greek history, a testament to the courage, resilience, and unity of the Greek people against the might of the Persian Empire. The victory over the Persians not only secured freedom and independence, but also ignited a cultural renaissance that left an enduring legacy on art and culture. From the explosion of artistic creativity to the rise of philosophical inquiry, the aftermath of the war witnessed an unprecedented flourishing of Greek intellectual and creative pursuits. The impact of the Persian Wars on art and culture can be seen in various aspects of Greek society. The wars inspired a surge in artistic expression, giving rise to iconic works of literature, sculpture, and architecture. Playwrights like Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides explored themes of courage, sacrifice, and the human condition in their tragedies and dramas, sculptors immortalized the heroes and victories of the Greek people, while architects designed structures that celebrated their triumph. The visual arts became a powerful medium for depicting Greek strength, unity, and the values that had been upheld during the conflict. The emergence of philosophical schools and the exploration of ethical and political questions reflected a deeper engagement with the complexities of human existence that had been brought into sharp relief by the wars. The Persian Wars also fostered cross-cultural dialogue and exchange, exposing the Greeks to new artistic motifs, techniques, and ideas from the East. This interaction enriched Greek artistic practices and contributed to the diversity and sophistication of their creations. The wars, while devastating, had inadvertently opened up new horizons for Greek artistic and intellectual exploration. In conclusion, the Persian Wars stand as a monumental event in ancient Greek history, shaping not only their political landscape, but also their cultural trajectory. The victory over the Persians had profound and lasting effects on Greek art and culture, fostering a climate of confidence, creativity, and philosophical inquiry. The Greeks, inspired by their resilience and unity in the face of adversity, expressed themselves through groundbreaking works of art, literature, and architecture. The impact of the Persian Wars on Greek culture was nothing short of transformative, setting the stage for the classical period and leaving an enduring legacy that continues to inspire and captivate us today.
Well-trained, heavily armored knights represented a triumph of military might during the Middle Ages. There's no more iconic symbol of medieval Europe than the knight clad in shining armor, jousting with his rivals, wearing a token of his lady love. But knights were far more than romantic figures. They were a triumph of military technology. The resources needed for horses, armor, and weaponry meant that knighthood was generally a job for the rich. Most knights came from noble families, and success in battle might lead to a royal grant of additional land and titles. Many held important religious positions as well as military ones. Some were writers of history and poetry, helping to craft the image of the knight that we still know today.
Our first night takes us to the year 1066 and the Norman conquest of England. William the Conqueror seized the English throne in 1066. I trained as a knight, then became a priest and scholar. I served as William's chaplain during the conquest. I witnessed the Battle of Hastings and the subjugation of England. Later, I wrote a biography of William, chronicling the conquest.
Our next night takes us to the sun-drenched battlefields of Spain, where the Reconquista raged. Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar, known as El Cid, embodied the martial prowess of the age. Born around 1043, he rose as a military leader. After falling out of favor, he became a mercenary captain, fighting for whoever paid the most, leading Christian and Muslim troops. His exploits were immortalized in the epic poem Cantar de Mio Cid. His life offers a glimpse into the Reconquista, driven by ambition and military glory.
Our journey takes us to the Holy Land, where the fate of Christendom hung in the balance. The First Crusade saw Jerusalem captured by Christian forces. I, Hugues de Payens, a French knight, stepped forward. In 1118, I and 8 knights approached the King of Jerusalem with a proposal. We pledged to live as warrior monks, safeguarding pilgrims. Within Solomon's temple, the Knights Templar were born. Initially small, the Templars rose to power. As their leader, I instilled discipline and loyalty.
Chapter 4. Guy of Lusignan, the king who lost Jerusalem. For our next night, we remain in the Holy Land, but this time we delve into a tale of defeat and disaster. Guy of Lusignan, a French nobleman who ascended to the throne of Jerusalem, would forever be remembered for presiding over one of the most catastrophic defeats in Crusader history. Guy's path to power was paved with ambition and a healthy dose of good fortune. However, his reign was beset by internal divisions and the ever-present threat of Saladin, the powerful Muslim leader determined to drive the Crusaders out of the Holy Land. In the summer of 1187, Saladin launched his offensive, catching the Crusader forces off guard, leading to the Battle of Hattin, a crushing defeat for the Crusaders. Chapter 5. William Marshal, England's greatest knight. From the scorching sands of the Holy Land we return to England, where a knight renowned for his chivalry, military skill, and unwavering loyalty left an indelible mark on history. William Marshal, the fourth son of a minor noble, seemed destined for obscurity. Yet, he would rise to become one of the most admired knights in English history, a man who served 5 kings and earned the respect of friend and foe alike. William's early years were spent honing his skills in the tourney field. He excelled in this violent arena, earning both wealth and renown. He served Henry II, Richard the Lionheart, John, and Henry III, acting as a royal advisor, military commander, and even a regent during Henry III's minority. Chapter 6. Geoffroy de Charny, the knight who wrote the book. Geoffroy de Charny, a French knight, served King John II. Known for his writings on chivalry and warfare, 100 Years' War, Charny penned the Book of Chivalry and other works. His writings explore the ideals and realities of knightly conduct.
Chapter 7. Edward the Black Prince, Terror of France. Our penultimate night takes us back to the 100 Years' War, a conflict that ravaged France for over a century. And amidst the carnage and chaos, one name struck fear into the hearts of Frenchmen: Edward of Woodstock, better known as the Black Prince. The eldest son of Edward III of England, the Black Prince was a warrior born and bred. He first tasted battle at the age of 16, participating in his father's campaigns in France. His most famous victory came at the Battle of Poitiers in 1356, where he outmaneuvered and decisively defeated the French, capturing their king, John II. The Black Prince, despite his successes, was not without his critics, with his sack of Limoges in 1370 remaining a dark stain on his legacy.
Chapter 8. Joan of Arc, the Maid of Orleans. Our final knight is a woman who defied convention and altered the course of history. Joan of Arc, a peasant girl from Domremy, France, remains one of the most enigmatic and inspiring figures of the Middle Ages. Born into a time of war and turmoil, Joan experienced visions and heard voices which she attributed to Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. Driven by faith and a fervent patriotism, Joan sought out the Dauphin, the uncrowned King Charles VII, and convinced him of her divine mission. Clad in white armor and carrying a banner emblazoned with the fleur-de-lis, Joan of Arc rallied the French troops, leading them to a string of improbable victories, with the Siege of Orleans cementing her status as a national heroine.
The enduring legacy of knights. From the Norman conquest to the 100 Years' War, the knights we've explored left an indelible mark on history. They were warriors, leaders, writers, and even in the case of Joan of Arc, divinely inspired heroes. Their stories, filled with triumph and tragedy, offer a glimpse into a world vastly different from our own. But the legacy of knighthood extends far beyond the battlefields of the Middle Ages. The ideals of chivalry, of courage, honor, and loyalty continue to resonate today, reminding us of the enduring power of human ambition, courage, and the allure of legend. We think we know knights, shining armor, charging into battle, maybe rescuing a damsel along the way, but what happens when those knights are more than just warriors? That's the story of the Knights Templar, a group so powerful, so influential, and ultimately so feared, that their story echoes through history right into the present day. Formed in the early 12th century, during the bloody chaos of the First Crusade, the Knights Templar were unlike any military order the world had ever seen. Here are the most astonishing facts about Christianity's holy warriors, the Knights Templar. Imagine the medieval world, a time of brutal violence where power comes from the edge of a sword. Knights, often little more than glorified thugs, roamed the landscape, their loyalty bought and paid for. Then, into this world, stepped the Templars. These men were different. They were warriors, yes, but they were bound by vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. This wasn't just about land or loot, it was about serving God with every fiber of their being. They became the most elite fighting force in Christendom, feared by their enemies and revered by their allies. You can't be one of history's most effective fighting forces without incredible discipline, and for the Templars, that discipline was forged in their faith. These warrior monks lived by a strict code dictating every aspect of their lives, from the food they ate to the clothes they wore. Simple meals, often in silence, focused on prayer and reflection. Their wardrobe was austere, a white tunic with a red cross symbolizing their willingness